welcome to Navatman's Fall 2020 Fundraiser, which is a phonathon. We are starting a few minutes later than planned today because of a technical difficulty. So if you were on the streaming links when we started about 20 minutes ago or so, we apologize for the technical issue. I suppose, what is a meeting that's done via Zoom without at least some kind of technical issue at this moment? I suppose it's expected in this day and age. But thank you all so much for joining us. If you've just joined or if you were with us before, if you've been a longtime member or supporter or fan of Navatman, or if you've just heard about the organization, we're so excited to have you with us virtually, part of this conversation. During this fundraiser this evening, we are going to hear from the many faces, see the many faces and hear from the many voices of Navatman, the people that make this community so vibrant and that push it forward and make it the light that guides us and gives us creativity and focus and energy, even in times of darkness. So we're going to start with a conversation among some of the cast members who were part of Navatman's Mahabharata production last year. And it's quite amazing when you think about this for a moment, right? Kathak, Bharatnatyam, martial arts, acrobatics, Hindustani classical music, Carnatic music. These are just some of the inputs that were instrumental to Navatman's multi-year series Broadway-style production of the largest epic in the world, the Mahabharata. Navatman presented part 1 in October of last year and is already working on the subsequent parts. So we are joined now by several members of the Mahabharata cast. So all of you here from the Mahabharata, if you could please turn on your video so we can see your beautiful faces and unmute yourself. Let's dive into the conversation. Thank you guys for joining us. It's so good to see you. Why don't we start with some introductions? Maybe I can call out the names so we don't talk over ourselves. Shiva, can we start with you? Just maybe your name, your role in the Mahabharata, your connection to Navatman.
Sure. My name is Shiva. I'm a grad student at NYU here in the city. I've been living in the city for the last 5 years. I've been actively part of Navatman for close to a year now, although I've attended concerts by Navatman before. I'm a Mridangam player. I also learned Carnatic vocal briefly when I was young. I had watched the Mahabharata show last year and was really impressed, and so wanted to be part of it this year and auditioned, and we have had rehearsals now. And I also perform otherwise on the Mridangam for Carnatic and Carnatic concerts and other types of performances. Classical.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. Ruchi.
Hi, I'm Ruchi and I'm a Kathak dancer. I've been an active part of Navatman for the last 4 years when I started learning Kathak at Navatman. I was a part of last year's Mahabharata and I played the role of Bhishma and Madri in last year's Mahabharata.
Wonderful. Samantha.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I actually joined Navatman for the Mahabharata last year as an outside dancer. I also dance and teach in Westchester County, and I was looking for something more immersive and more opportunities to perform. I've been training in Bharatnatyam ever since I was little, and I performed as both Shantanu and Yudhishthira in the Mahabharata last year.
Perfect, thanks. Janani, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Janani. I've been at Navatman for around 9 years. I think I started when I was 3. And I've been pretty active. I started Kathak, I think 3 years ago. But in the Mahabharata this year, I'm doing Bharatanatyam in music. And I wasn't part of it last year, but I was also really impressed and I want to be a part of it.
Excellent. And Lekha.
Hi, my name is Lekha. I've been an active member at Navatman for since 2013. And last year in the Mahabharata, I was an ensemble member and I played the role of Ekalavya.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So this is actually fantastic because we have a range of musicians, of different kinds of dancers, people that were involved last year and this year, some that were audience members last year, just getting involved this year. Can you all speak to what is drawing you to this Mahabharata production, regardless of when you started participating? What is it about the production that kind of made you want to be a part of it? And the floor is open, so free-flowing conversation, whoever is so moved to answer.
I can start the conversation on that. I've followed Navatman for a while through social media, Instagram, Facebook, and I remember seeing posts for the production of the Ramayana. And it always captured my eye because when I was younger and had the ability to, with my old guru, I was in a lot of dance dramas. And it just kind of reminded me I miss doing that. As an older student and also a teacher outside of Navatman for another dance company, you start to focus all of your energy on your students. And then this desire to be on stage comes about again. And it was probably at least 4 or 5 years since I had been in a production. And I remember just seeing the post for auditions. And I told myself, why not? Why not give it a try and see where it goes? And in terms of the Mahabharata itself, I knew of it, but I didn't really know the details. I'm actually half Indian and half Puerto Rican. So in my household, I knew the general story, but I didn't know anything beyond that. And combining that yearning to learn more about something that's so ingrained in the Indian side of my culture and also wanting to perform and be a part of a big group kind of pushed me to do that. It pushed me to want to audition and want to be a part of a group. And it actually ended up helping me find another community. I actually am now a student of Navatman, and I just feel like it created these bonds with the fellow dancers and musicians, and also this bonding of just learning more about the Mahabharata and sharing it with each other.
I totally agree with Samantha. I think even though, I mean, both my parents are Indian, I still had only a very general idea of what the Mahabharata was. And growing up, this gave me the opportunity to delve deeper and know so much more about it. And not just that, I think there was a unique opportunity here to present it on a stage in New York City and also share it with others, like share it with people who aren't aware of Indian culture, share it with my own friends from different backgrounds who know that, okay, I do dance and I am a part of, I mean, there's an Indian classical dance form that I do, but they never really got to see it or witness it. And not just they didn't just get to see that, but also get to know such a big story and such an epic which is a part of Indian culture. I think that was very it was one of the big points about this that drew me to it. I think another big thing was I was already a part of Navatman and I was learning classical dance and music, but it was amazing to see how they put this entire production together. The amount of work that went into getting this 3 hours show on stage was just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I can imagine. And in fact, that's something that I want to talk a little bit more deeply about is some of the training and practice that went into this entire production behind the scenes, because I know it was multifaceted as well. But first, let me just ask Lekha, Janani, Shiva, anything else that you want to add about what kind of drew you to be a part of the Mahabharata production?
Well,
You can do Janani, then Lekha.
So there are two really important parts, two main parts of trying to show it through music and trying to show it through dance. And I thought it's really cool because one way to show it is hard and the other way is also hard. So trying to do both is really fun and also really hard. So I thought it was a really cool way to show one story, but through two different classical forms.
Yeah, definitely. I think Also, I've been growing up with Navatman, so Navatman has been my life and been my community. So when I heard about this opportunity to do the Mahabharata and having already the experience of doing the Ramayana previously, I think just having that opportunity again and being able to audition and sort of go through that process with an Indian classical art form instead of something that you'd normally see on stage is really amazing. Also, being able to sort of show my heritage to the entire world or even just New York is really, really amazing and something that I don't think it's a platform that Navatman gives, and it's so special and a great opportunity, especially for my age.
Yeah. For me, it kind of resonates with what Lekha actually just said. I mean, it is the main motivation really came from the fact that, you know, this I saw this as a platform to actually sort of spread the message of Mahabharata and also Indian classical arts to a wider audience. And more specifically, I hadn't really been aware of such types of productions of Indian epics, even though, you know, and this was actually one of the selling points. I mean, this was actually on the ad of Mahabharata last year, and it kind of struck me, which is that, you know, you see productions of so many different types of stories and epics, but then you don't see productions yet of you hadn't of Indian epics and Indian stories that actually show the Indian culture and so on. And also, I'm very passionate about Indian classical music and opportunities to perform. And this, even from a performance point of view, I saw this as a opportunity to, like, collaborate with like other types of musicians and go beyond just Carnatic.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for sharing. That was so well said, and already kind of gives a glimpse into how dynamic this production was. So let's talk a little bit about some of the preparation that went in behind the scenes. I know from my own experience that you guys were working for months and months on this. I'd love to hear about some of the types of training that you did, some of the ways in which you were practicing, and what was involved with the preparation. You were talking just now about how you were learning the story in addition to practicing the technique of performing. So what was the balance between like talking about the actual story? Did you go into details and read versus the technical performative aspect of the production?
I can definitely say on my part that once I had my characters, that I started researching more and more on my own, but not even just about Shantanu's story or Yudhishthira's story. It was just a continuation of learning about all of the characters because they're so interconnected, to the point where I remember asking some of the script writers, am I saying this right? Is this what this character is feeling at this moment? Just so much more research. And I think one of the biggest things in terms of training was definitely the ability to speak your lines and emote, and also find that character. So I played more masculine energy characters. And I definitely think that as a dancer, we aren't used to using our voices. We're used to using our bodies in motion, but it's being able to actually use our voice as well. So I remember having a lot of different training exercises in being able to just being able to yell and enunciate and project my voice so that someone who's so far away from me can hear exactly what I'm saying and what the emotion is behind it.
Wow, yeah, that's a facet that dancers never really practice, or that's not part of the typical kind of learning experience. So fascinating. Anyone else have memories from the training that they want to talk about?
Yes, actually. So during the entire training of Mahabharata last year, so part one, it was a very intense sort of training. So we had to do Galari Payata. We had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had to sort of get ourselves ready, mentally prepped and also physically prepped for the day and for all the things that we had to learn. And then also, I remember I played Eklavya, so I remember having to go to an archery course and horseback riding, and from not viewing it as just a way to have fun, but as a more technical aspect. So how am I supposed to string the bow? Um, is it heavy? Is it light? Is it really hard to string? And I think just having that actual like experience is really fundamental to create that what you want to see on the big stage. And I think that was one of the things that most like drawn me. I was drawn to, and also just having that community. So having that community support you while you're going through that, and knowing that other people are doing the same exact things as you, and just being able to go and ask people questions is really, really important. And also I had a great time doing it. So I think that's also really important.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever actually strung a bow and arrow myself, but we presented and dance all the time. So that adds the realism element to it. That's incredible. Anyone else?
I think for this year, like especially because everything's so different, we're not gonna have a live audience, so you have to realize how do you interact with them more? How do you like make them feel as if they're actually there? So I think this year there's a lot of whether doesn't matter which role you get, there's some things that you have to know, like how to project, how to enunciate, how to like have that stage presence. So I think this year we focused a lot on that, especially because it's going to be really different.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. That's a great.
I also wanted to just add that, like, obviously, as dancers, we went through all of these things, and as performers in the cast. But I think the script writing team went through a lot of different versions of the Mahabharata, and they read like all the 18 parts of the Mahabharata as they were writing the script. And so much of research and so much thought went into how to put that script down, how we wanted to lay it out and present it to the audience from our like how we wanted to present the story to the audience from our side. So I think that's definitely worth calling out as well.
That's great. And Shiva, I'm curious if you could talk to the music, sort of the thought process that went into creating the music for the production. How much of it was composed for this particular production? How did you work with the different musicians to come up with what the soundtrack would be?
Yeah. So I since I joined the team only in January this year, I became aware after we started rehearsals for this year that all the music for the Mahabharata was actually composed in house. Even though not all the lines were written for all the songs, many of them were probably either shlokas or other songs or kritis or that were borrowed. Many of them were set to different ragas and talas by the musicians, led by Samyukta Ranganathan. And this year we were actually a larger team of musicians than last year. So we were actually going through the process of bringing back those compositions, learning those compositions and actually interacting first hand with like the principal composers of last year, learning how this whole process works, and also frequently having to improvise ourselves. So it was kind of it constantly kept us on the edge because and this was not just one type of music. I mean, there were Hindustani pieces, there were Carnatic pieces, and then there were shlokas, and a lot of these were just composed for the Mahabharata. So it's been a very interesting journey so far. And what also another aspect that makes it different this year, which I've learned, is that since we are a larger group of musicians this year, we will also be, we are actually about maybe 4 or 5 musicians now. And I play the mridangam, but I may also be assisting in vocals. So, and there are, apart from me, there are 4, 5 other musicians, and I think 4 of them will be like, main singers. So because there are larger number of singers and people to lend their voices and instruments, there's a lot more scope this year for like, for creating better music, especially by, combining different voices and having background vocals and harmonics and those kinds of things. So yeah, it's quite interesting and also challenging.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And I know I can speak on behalf of many people to say that we're really excited to hear this new scope of music in the next production, and see how that formulates and comes together. For now, we do have a clip of the Mahabharata from last year that I would love to play so that we can have a visual reference to this amazing production that you are all talking about. So if we can.
Anjali Didi, can I add on to one thing?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Just the idea of like you asked the question, were some pieces like composed specifically for the Mahabharata? I think that some of them were original pieces, but we had to modify them to match the mood of the particular scene that we were doing. So we had to take a scene that was naturally, or a song that was naturally very cheery or joyful, and modify it to make it seem like it's really dreary. So the lyrics would stay the same, but the tune would definitely change.
Wow, that's a great point. Thanks for adding that. And it just gives a glimpse into how rich and varied the creative process was, right? Using some of these ancient pieces of poetry and then bringing this together with so many different kinds of artists and different perspectives into one incredible show. So with this on our mind, let's, yes, Shiva, sorry, you don't mean to cut you off.
One more thing that I wanted to mention was, on the idea of ragas and talas, even the choice of raga had to, sort of match the scene that you were composing for. And one of the fascinating things for me was that, I'm generally fascinated by ragas as a very passionate Carnatic musician. And I was struck by, how many different choices of ragas. I mean, how many different ragas were actually used in all, combining all the scenes in total. So just as an example, just in the birth of the Pandavas, each of them had a different raga, and so it just had that. It just created that and elevated the whole scene to another level.
Yeah. Wow. Very, very intricate and very rich. So I wish we could just somehow time travel and transport ourselves back into the production so we can see it now, because talking about it makes me miss the actual live production. But to at least slightly satisfy us for the moment, let's take a look at the clip that we have prepared. I believe this is the scene in the beginning, which shows Ganga. So let's play this clip.
Anjali Didi, you're muted, so we can't hear anything that's playing.
Yeah, it looks like there's no audio. Okay, well, let's hold on that. As we've mentioned, we've been having some technical difficulties with the audio today. So this will just have to wait until we see the next production when it comes out, which we are already, I know it's in the works already. We were all, doing the reading and starting those conversations. Can you talk a little bit about what we are looking forward to next? I know that the medium of the production is going to change. So next year it will be a Mahabharata film instead of a show on an actual stage. But what are some of the other things that you're currently thinking about or doing that you expect to take place with the next production? I know, Shiva, you were talking about the music and the scope and how that will be different. Maybe something from the dance angle or otherwise.
I know that for our future production, looking more towards a film, definitely looking more towards a lot of training weekly. And then in that training, also having theoretical discussions about the characters, about the stories, and just thinking of how do you take a stage production with all of its live aspects, with dance, with music, with positioning, with everything, and transition it into a film. So then there's a lot of stories. How do you capture the same emotion? How do you capture the same movement and feeling and transition that onto a film aspect? And then also looking at the potential of shooting outside. What changes from being able to do everything that you can on a stage and now you have the outside elements? How is that going to rearrange or change or alter the choreography?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the storyline is definitely not going to change. I mean, I think just the way we do things and the slight nuances that are going to be placed into the piece or even into the entire film, if the film is going to happen, then I think those tiny switches from how we speak, how we, if we're going to, I think, yeah, exactly. How we speak, how the music is going to be laid over it, whether we're going to be shooting outside or inside, like Samantha Z said, or even just the slight changes are going to be made so that I think it'll look better on screen and flow. And it will be different, and it will not be the same format that we did the past 2 years. But I think that this change is going to be good, and it's going to be exploring something new and different. And there's definitely going to be a different kind of training specifically for the format that we're going to do this year.
Yeah, these are great points and really important points too, because as you're saying, when you are putting this performance on stage, right, you typically only have the audience watching you from one angle. All of a sudden, now you're talking about filming from different angles, potentially doing close-ups to capture an emotion that you wouldn't see in the theater. Just, performing, we all know some of the shortcuts you can take on stage to maybe hide a mistake or run off, into the wings and come back and fix something. You don't necessarily have that here when you have cameras potentially circling you and you're creating this production. So I suppose as an artist, you have to become conscious of how you look from different angles, how you're conveying an emotion or a story in a completely different way. That's pretty transformative. And then exactly for you, like how you're talking about layering the music on top of that story, how do you work? What is the relationship between the artist and musician when you're not necessarily sitting together doing something live, but you have the ability to edit afterwards? It is a complete transformation of the creative process.
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to what Lekha said. Just how when you're performing in front of a live audience, there are a lot of things that you need to think about, but specifically like how you present from the front, because that's what the audience sees. But now when and obviously you do have to think about every part of you and how to present, but especially when it's a film, you have to think about it even more. And how do I show everything? Does every part of my body show what I'm feeling right now? Show what my character is feeling right now?
I do think, though, that this turning into a film gives us a unique opportunity to reach out to a much wider audience. I think through our stage production, obviously, we were able to perform it live, and that was great, but we were only able to reach out to people who actually were in New York City and were able to come and see our show in person. But now that it's a film, we can actually I mean, it's available for people all around the world to view it. And we have a much wider audience that we're actually reaching out to outside of New York City and even outside of USA. So I think that's a really great opportunity here for us as it's turning into, as the medium is changing.
That's absolutely true. So wider scope for creation, wider scope of potential audience. And then this doesn't become something that just lives in one moment of time, but it's there. I know there are some talks about potentially having the video film available to rent on some of the popular media streaming sites. So it will, work itself into this canon of film work and, as opposed to just being something that's a one-time production on stage. So there's a lot to look forward to. Thank you all so much again for sharing these comments. And this is just, scratching the surface from obviously a conversation that can go on for hours. So I think we're going to, I'm just checking our notes here and see if we can try the video one last time to see if the sound will work. Maybe we can give that a go. But if not, we will, and even if it is working, we will all stay tuned for the news about when the film will be underway and when we can look forward to that. So thanks again to all of you. Good luck on the practice and the training for the next one. And our tech team, if you would like to cue up the video, let's see if we can, if the second time is a charm. That was amazing. So good to relive a little bit of the performance. Thanks again, you guys. Thanks for joining. Good luck with everything. And we can't wait to talk to you again about part 2 of the Mahabharata. Bye. All right, for those of you who are tuning into this live stream, thank you so much for being here. If you've been with us for the past 30, 40 minutes or so, you will have heard from me. I'm Anjali, I'm moderating today. You will have heard from Sahi, the co-founder of Navatman, and you've just heard from the cast of the Mahabharata, which is Navatman's Broadway-like production of the largest epic in the world. We are going to now move to the next section where we'll invite some of Navatman's newest staff members. But before that, I want to share some amazing news, which is that we've just had several pledges come in for next year. So round of applause to everyone. Thank you so much for your contribution, for your donation. What you do for us through this patronage is what literally keeps Navatman going into the next year and helps us create productions as rich and varied as the Mahabharata that we were just talking about. So we are now up to about, as of maybe 20 minutes ago, we were at $13,250 out of our goal, which is $30,000 for this evening. And with the additional pledges that just came in, we're now at $15,350 out of 30,000, which is absolutely incredible. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much. As you're listening to our conversation today, if you are moved by anything that you hear, if you want to be a part of this, you'll hear throughout the evening that Navatman is very much about welcoming everyone, and we welcome you with open arms. So please do consider supporting us in any way. You can donate by visiting navatman.org. Our volunteers are currently reaching out to many members of the Navatman community to talk with you, reminisce, talk about your experiences, and invite you to engage with us and celebrate everything that Navatman stands for and represents. Please do consider making a donation with our volunteers who call you or text you or email you tonight, or by visiting us online. So thanks again to our donors. We'll keep you updated as the donations come in. Specifically, you can go to the website navatman.org/donate to make a direct donation, and we will give you a shout out on the phone-a-thon and on this live stream service this evening. So welcome to our staff members, those of you who have joined to talk about what it's like to work at Navatman. Please, if you could turn on your videos and unmute yourselves, that would be wonderful. This is really exciting, actually, this next conversation, because this is the first time, this year, 2020, is the first time that Navatman has ever had employees, like real, full payroll enabled employees. We even had one of our staff members and teachers go on maternity leave this year, which we were able to cover before all of the employees used to be contractors. This happened directly because of your contributions, to everyone who's listening, everyone that has donated in the past. So a big thank you. And this is the result of what we've been able to do with your incredible support. So we're going to talk now a little bit about working at Navatman. And there are some really interesting things about the work culture that make Navatman unique. So for example, if you're staff, you have to always do three things, right? You must train to teach, you must perform, and you must do some kind of administrative work, right? So rehearsal, admin, and teaching. These things are part of everyone's day, every single day, and that's fundamental to how Navatman's business model works. So really excited to learn about your personal experiences doing all of this. So big welcome to the newest staff members. So if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourselves, maybe we can do a quick round of introductions, mention of course your name, your role at Navatman, and maybe how you came to Navatman.
Okay, I could go first.
Great.
Hi, I'm Mitali. I am Navatman's marketing associate. I joined in June, so it's been about 6 months. Before that, I was interning. Before that, I was volunteering. And before that, I think I came in as a performer. So my first interaction with Navatman was when I came in to audition for the Mahabharata. And since then, I've been connected. Like, I didn't end up ever leaving Navatman. So, yep, here I am.
Whoever wants to go next, or I can call on you. But the floor is yours. We can keep it an open discussion, so feel free to jump in. Maybe we can go Udita and then Sierra and then Meg.
Hey everyone, I'm Udita. I am the events associate at Navatman, and I'm also a principal dancer as a part of the Navatman dance company. And I also teach Bharatanatyam to kids between 8 to 13 at Navatman, and it's been a very, very rewarding experience and just a journey at Navatman. I also, same as Mitali, started working in about May, I'd say May or June, and it's been and I graduated in May of this year from NYU in Performing Arts Administration. So it's been an amazing experience. I found Navatman when I came to the US in 2018, and I really wanted to find an Indian classical organization just to get back in touch with Bharatanatyam. So it was a random Google search on one day, and I was like, and then Navatman just popped up, and here I am, which is basically, and then that's when I saw the Mahabharata auditions, came in for auditioning, got in, post that it was a journey through Drive East 2019, volunteering for that, interning for that, going on to now Drive East 2020, which was completely virtual global. So it's been a great transition, great learning experience.
Yeah, a lot has changed this year, so you've jumped into the deep end, I suppose. Sierra?
Hi, my name is Sierra. I'm the school administrative assistant for the Navatman school, and I joined in June? Yeah, July. But I started as a work study before that. I can't remember now. This year is going so fast, but I joined in midsummer after a little stint in work study, and I had come to Navatman at the beginning of this year as a student. I studied Bharatanatyam for almost 10 years as a kid growing up. I did my Rangetram, I performed all over the place, but my main thing was always modern dance concerts. And I came to New York to study that. And then I graduated from the Martha Graham School, and then I kind of started falling away from dance a little bit. And then one day was like, it's time to go back to Bharatanatyam. I always loved it. I saw Drive East last year, and I was so inspired by watching those performances, and then and I was ready to go back to that. So I found Navatman again, just randomly. Oh, what schools are there in New York? And I showed up for a class, and then I stuck around, and I started taking Kathak classes, which I had never done before. And then I started doing a work study for a little bit. And then the pandemic hit, and I lost all my jobs. Actually, I was working at a different dance school as the administrative assistant, and everything was gone. And then right at that moment, Navatman was hiring amazingly. So it was amazing that we've been continuing to grow through this year. And right when everything else I was involved in shut down, I came on board and I started working with the school. And so I've been part of the whole effort of moving all the classes online and keeping up enrollment. And I'm also starting to train with the kids in teaching. So I've been coming back to teaching, which I'm really excited about getting back into. So
Great, excellent. That's a great story. And Meg.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meg. My journey with Navatman, I think, started about 3 years ago. Similar to, I think, what Sierra was saying, I had trained for a very long time. And when I went to college, I kind of lost a little bit of touch with dance. So I wanted, after graduation, I wanted to get back into it. And I was searching and searching and searching for a place to dance and a place to kind of get back into kind of to get that feeling of what dance really meant to me, which was a little bit of an area or a space to be able to just be myself and to de-stress from the craziness that was my work life. And so I happened upon Navatman after, similar to Sierra, doing a lot of Google searching, and I took a trial class and I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with how clearly I had trained so well, but there's so much more to learn about dance and how it meant to me and what how far I could push myself and how far I could grow as a dancer. And that's exactly what attracted me to Navatman. And since then, I had the amazing opportunity to then start as a pre-K dance teacher, graduated to a vocal teacher. And now I teach both Vocal 1 and a Bharatanatyam class. And I have now also had the fortunate opportunity to be a part of dance company as well. So playing a lot of different roles here, but I think the true value that Navatman gives me is just also turning it back to me and kind of pushing me and seeing what value I can bring and how I can kind of expand on what different roles I can play and how much I can grow. So thankfully today, in addition to the many roles I hold at Navatman, I'm so thankful that I can actually be part of staff as a co-marketing associate with Mithali. And I've grown so much in this aspect and learning exactly how to think about what it means to market a nonprofit, and especially a nonprofit that's so close to my heart and something that makes so much of a difference in every different facet that we're in. So very thankful today to be in a space where I can say that I am so involved with a company and to be able to have a career that actually makes me incredibly happy. So I'm very thankful for Navatman, for the staff, for Sahi, for giving me an opportunity to really think about how I can make a career out of something that is so beautiful and exciting to me.
That's so, so beautifully said. And I love what all of you are saying really about the kind of fluidity with the movements between dance and music, or different, right, contemporary and classical Indian dance, and your personal growth in so many different ways. Like you're growing in so many directions, just as the organization is as well. Those personal growth and Navatman's growth are very, very much linked. And that comes through in your stories. So there are so many things that I want to talk to you about, want to ask you about in what you've just said, but maybe we can start with first a note on the professional side of growth, right? So can you give us kind of the inside scoop? Like, what is it like to work at Navatman? What is the culture like? And how is working at Navatman perhaps different from some of your other work experiences in the past?
Do you mind if I jump in real
Please.
quick? Okay. I know that Udita, Mithali, and Sierra have a lot of amazing things to say, but I just want to provide a perspective. I come from the corporate world, so I spent 4 years in advertising, and advertising, the environment that I was in was incredibly hierarchical. So you had to work your way up, and you played a very specific role in advertising. And from leaving that environment and coming to Navatman, since then, I've learned so much about the value of being a part of a culture that values everyone's perspective. And an environment that, we're very willing to try different things, to hear out a perspective and to say, that's a really great idea. Why don't we give it a shot? Let's try it for this amount of time, see what it does for our company. And that's the beauty of working at Navatman is from the culture perspective, everyone has the ability to provide their perspective and the ability to be heard. And that's something that's so often not given in the corporate world. And so though I am new to the nonprofit, I have had the amazing ability to learn and grow both from Sahi and Mithali and from the entire staff, but also have the appreciation to know that my background in advertising provides some sort of perspective in that it's heard. And so that's the beauty of being able to work on an incredibly collaborative team, is that it's so easy to work with everyone and so incredibly rewarding to be a part of a team that's so passionate about making this team thrive.
Yeah, and just going off of what Meg just said, I also used to work in the corporate field for like 2 years at KPMG, and like just switching from a really, really huge company to a smaller company. It's rewarding in so many ways. It just teaches you so much. There's really no scope to where you can stop learning. Like it never stops. There's just so much scope to learn every single day with everything that we're doing. We're such a small team, but just as such a small team, we do so much as a company. It's just also with this year being a pandemic and everything, we didn't stop working for even a single day. We've been working throughout every single day, and nothing stopped us in the sense that we still put out so many new products. We came up with new classes. We still did Drive East online. So I think all of that was only possible because of the team that we work with at Navatman, which is super, super collaborative. And everybody pitches in, puts up, like provides their ideas, and nothing's ever turned down. And we're always looking up at, like, we're always open to exploring new ideas and trying to understand what everyone wants to say. And that's kind of the best, I think, work environment. So that's what I had to say.
Yeah, and I think just adding to that, you know, when you have a job and then like a hobby or a passion, and then you get to keep those two things separate. And then I think you just grow up to become that person who knows how to like keep, like, you know, it's just like, yeah, 9 to 5 is my job, and then I have to take out separate time to like make, you know, time for like dance or music or whatever your hobby is. But for people like us, you know, who have, like Meg and Udita said, we've now moved spaces to, you know, combine our passion and our jobs, and are slowly, you know, getting into that stream of things. It's a different ball game altogether, because we enjoy it so much that, you know, our jobs are not restricted to just like, hey, we're going to work 6 hours a day. You know, we keep working, and there are some nights when we are up at like 12 in the night and like still, you know, sending out SMSs, because the lines have blurred to such an extent that we are family, we are friends, like we are really close friends. We meet for Diwali lunches and things like that. So we aren't just co-workers anymore. We've moved, you know, we've graduated from that stage. We've become a Navatman family. We enjoy doing things together, be it work or be it like off work hours. Yeah, maybe that's because we are a small team, you know, we just know everyone on a personal level now. But I do believe that that has affected our quality of work. And I believe that as an individual, I've grown in a period of 6 months in a way that I don't think I had in my previous workspace or my internships. You know, like there were roles, and we were asked to comply to those roles. You couldn't really move out of your box. But here at Navatman, like we as employees, as new employees, came up with a new product. And then Sahi was like, yep, let's give it a shot. You know, you guys lead it, you guys execute on it. I'm here to just give you a nod, just say a yes or a no, but you guys go ahead and see how that goes. Or like just speaking to marketing, right? Like a lot of companies, small companies, or maybe just like non-profits, you can't, you know, I mean, they want to play it safe, or, you know, this is the success formula, and then you just go implement it. But at Navatman, we keep experimenting with new things. So again, I mean, there's so much personal growth in a way that I didn't think I would be exposed to it, you know, at any other space, any other place. Like I didn't think that would happen, especially in the year of a pandemic, that kind of exposure, or that kind of you know, ways to explore different things that are happening in the world. But yep, it's happening again 6 months in, and I feel like I have grown much more as a person. So
yeah, no, it's amazing. And I'll just say, being on the receiving end of all of the work that you do, it goes off so seamlessly and flawlessly. And so it's, you know, it's a testament to your passion and the tight collaboration that has been so strong and consistent, even as the world has been going wild. So I want to just pause very quickly because we have a super exciting update, which is that we just had another donor give a pledge for next year of $500. So huge shout out, very, very big thank you to you. You're getting the Zoom silent round of applause here. But know that this means so much to us. So thank you to those who just donated. We are now at $15,850 out of our goal, which again is $30,000 for this evening. So huge thank you to all of you listening in and supporting us in every way. So I want to talk now about this question of how you have stayed so tightly connected. I mean, you were just talking about how much incredible work you have done. There's been so much change. I mean, there's always so much change with an organization like Navatman that is growing so quickly, but particularly this year, we had challenges that were unprecedented. So given everything that's been going on, how have you guys stayed so coordinated and stayed so tightly connected? And how have you preserved your mental health through it all? How have you stayed sane together?
I can go. So I think, like Mitali said, I think just when work is your passion, I think it's number one is I look forward to like my dance company practices or anything like that helps me just take my mind off anything that's going on during the day. Like I need that 1 or 2 hours to kind of forget about everything that's going on in my life and just be there with these guys dancing, practicing. And like that has helped in every way just to get through this phase. Also, just because I graduated this year in May, and it wasn't the best year to graduate just because it's a pandemic. You're going into a job market where like you don't know if you're going to get a job. So just all of that, I think Navatman's just been super helpful, and like I'm so glad that we have this community to kind of help us out as individuals. And another thing that I wanted to say is, as as a part of the Navatman dance company, every time we had drive east rehearsals, we used to take about 15 minutes before practice every day to kind of meditate and to make sure we all are in peace, are in unity. We like connect with each other, and we made it a point to do this every single time, for the 2 weeks before drive east. And that really helped us kind of I don't know, build that kind of connection as a team and just perform together. And we really felt that energy, and we that those 15 minutes of meditation was what worked for me personally, and just get through everything that was going on around. And like I ended up losing my phone, which was very unfortunate, like the week of drive east. And like it was basically stolen on the subway. So things like that. And like that, then Navatman, as like the employees, just Sahi, Mitali, Meg, like everybody was just there. Everyone reached out to me, and like in case I needed anything, everyone was super understanding of, they were like, okay, you need a day or two, just take that day, we understand. And like they handled all of the workload for those days. So I don't know, I think it's just when you're working with colleagues who you know so well, I think it works out.
Yeah, that's that's incredible. That losing your phone is just, it's like peak fear, peak stress, but then you were met with this peak sense of support through that. Anyone else? Mitali, Sierra, Meg, any thoughts on this point?
Yeah, I think, see, at the end of the day, all of us are connected by one thing, which also happens to be Navatman's mission, right? To help individuals nurture themselves through the Indian arts. And somewhere all of us are in that process. So when we all are bound by such a strong emotion, or what we feel for the Indian arts, or where we want to see it head, in the years to come, um, I mean, we just understand that we are all working towards this one mission. And then I think that's what brings us together. Like, I just know where each of my colleagues or teammates are coming from. And I think that just takes us forward with all other aspects. I mean, I'm not even at this point talking about like only Kathak or only Bharatnatyam, but like just like what all of us are trying to do for the Indian arts, or because we value what the Indian arts have done for us. I mean, I know it's come as an escape, like Udita was saying, like it helped her with whatever she had to deal with. I'm sure Meg and Sierra have similar stories. I know how it helped me, and I know it can help others. I know it can help my students and other patrons of Navatman in similar ways. And I think we all have that basic understanding, and that's what helps that sync. We just, yeah, work off of each other's energies in that way.
And working off of this energy that Mithali has said, I think from you brought up a point, Anjali, that was about how do you stay connected even despite, like being apart, and also how do we, grapple with the mental health aspect. And I think that's so incredibly important right now. So I want to tackle this in two different ways. So from the staying connected perspective, I think Mithali and Udita hit it perfectly. And even in previous conversations, even despite us being, all in different spaces, we still have this incredible ability to connect through the medium of art. And that's just incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. All of us have had this incredible opportunity to meet through different ways. Udita and Mithali, for me, I met them through Mahabharata, Sierra through staff, and through workshops and dancing. And they're all incredible dancers and artists. And it's just been something that throughout all of this, I think Udita and Mithali already touched on this, is just this collective passion around the arts, the Indian arts, and making it a priority, and making our passion around making other people hear the same kind of excitement that we hear every day, like the excitement that we feel about the arts. We want to share that with other people. And I think that's one aspect that's just linked us and has been incredibly solid in terms of having us work super seamlessly. And I think in addition to that, just to again sing the praises of our team, is just having an incredibly driven team, and a team especially led by Sahi that has been instilled from such a great leader about thinking about as people in the US right now, patrons of the arts, as artists ourselves, how do we share this passion with other people? And I think that's something that Sahi has kind of passed on and instilled in us as staff. And I think that is some part of the connection that has helped us kind of solidify and be able to work together so cohesively. And I think in terms of the mental health aspect, I think one thing that Sahi's been incredibly great about is making sure that we all take time to just move away from the work aspect of it, whether it be through for dance company and for Kathak, setting up daily riyazes where we just dance and just forget about what's going on. I know we have a million meetings, a crazy amount of deadlines, incredible piles of paperwork stacking up. That 1/2 an hour that Sahi sets up for us every day is just that one moment where we're just take a moment, dance it out, sing it out, that's it. And that's so beautiful about the culture that we have at Navatman, is that yes, we are business women, not to mention that we are all women. And Sridhar's incredible. But we are a woman-led company, and we are working together, and we are powering through this and making it, we are businesswomen, but also we're artists at the same time. We're dancers, we're singers. We take a moment to do something that's so important to us. And we take that moment to just be let's be dancers. Let's be dancers for this 45 minutes and just let go of all the stresses of the world. And that, from a mental health aspect, is just the culture of being at Navatman is, we prioritize that. We prioritize making sure we're all okay. We check in with each other. We take these moments to just let go and de-stress. And that's incredibly beautiful and something that I value so much in a workplace.
That's so beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing that, Meg, and for all of you for sharing that. That's yeah, very beautifully said. Sierra, I want to give you a chance to respond as well. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was just gonna continue on what Meg said, although it encompassed a lot of it. But as we've said repeatedly, we are here. Everyone on the staff is either a dancer or a musician, and I think we're all teaching at some level also, which is unusual for the entire staff of this organization to be like active artists, both professionally but also still as students growing, whatever. So we are just also personally connected and invested in this organization, like really way beyond having a job. And it really shows. I mean, I've never been part of a team that's so personally invested in everything. I mean, there's really no limits of like how far everyone on this team is willing to go to get the work done and to do it well and to do it with passion and to support everyone, the staff, the students, the audience members fully. I mean, I've been in positions before where I feel like I'm the only one who like takes a personal responsibility for the kind of work I'm doing. But in this team, it's like everybody's, well, I don't stay up all night. I get up early instead, but everybody's staying up all night or getting up early or doing extra hours or whatever. But everyone's going above and beyond because we all have the passion for this organization and we have a connection with our students that we're teaching or with the audiences that we're performing for. Yeah, and it's very unusual. And also within that, just in terms of the work culture and related to how we stay sane, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of deadlines, but it really is a very open, non-judgmental workplace. Like we've said before, there is a hierarchy, of course, there has to be something, but there's room to make mistakes and for everybody to take initiative. And if something goes wrong, it's a learning moment. There's no big deal. And everybody is willing to do whatever is needed. I mean, all employees will step in wherever it's needed. If somebody needs help with something, it gets done. So that culture, which I would have to say is definitely related to being a female organization, a women-led organization, makes it so that it's just a really open atmosphere to bring up new perspectives, try new ideas, and always keep changing. I mean, even in my short time here, I feel like we're just always rolling with like, let's see how we can adapt because this whole year has just been a big old adaptation of everything and it's still going. And yeah, so we've gotten this far through this year and it's been really amazing as we've all been growing through this year. So I'm looking forward to keeping it going with the momentum we have, even in the craziness of this year. We still have such a momentum at the moment. So
yeah, and what an incredible momentum it is. And again, just being on the receiving end of it, being the recipient, I can speak from personal experience that the values that all of you are talking about, this incredible passion, culture of experimentation, this true dedication to the arts, everything that you're mentioning is reflected in the work and in the output that Navatman creates and shares with the world. So it's the values that really shape the everything that comes from the organization. So Sierra and Meg, you both have brought up this idea of being, mentioned the fact that this is a primarily a female-led organization, which is awesome. I'm curious about what are some of the things that might have changed for you this year being a female-led, immigrant-led organization, right? There's been a lot happening externally with various kinds of social unrest, cultural change. What does it mean for you guys as leaders, Meg, as you were saying, as businesswomen and as artists running this organization, what does that mean for you today in this social climate?
Sierra, do you want to go first? No, you won't. Okay. I will jump in on this one.
Go for it.
So I think we're in certainly a very interesting time in our lives, where just being an immigrant is such a political thing, and where at a certain point in time, being a woman and some of the rights that we have was something that was like incredibly terrifying. The thought around that. I think from my perspective and my experience, I actually, in my experience in advertising, was the only person of color on my team and strategy, and the only woman on my team. So I was in an incredibly difficult situation, and truly in that environment, I had I just felt like my voice was never heard. I was always compared to my male counterparts. I was always told like, oh, you're doing a good job, but also like this male counterpart is doing a good job too. If not, maybe a better job. And that really hit me hard. And when I would voice something in a room in advertising, I would say something, and then a male counterpart might say the same thing, and it was just accepted when that male counterpart said the same thing. It was incredibly frustrating because you hear about it and you're like, yeah, but like we're progressive, right? New York's progressive, and then I experienced it firsthand, and it just gave me a lot of pause in terms of what I wanted to do, what impact I wanted to have. And then while being in advertising, in parallel, I had this incredible opportunity to be a part of Dance Company, where we were actually using our art for change, using our art to make a statement about things. And I think there was a moment in Dance Company where we were ideating around things about what it meant to feel as a woman, as a person of color, as like someone who's experienced trauma, what it means to feel that and emote that through dance. And there was a moment where I was just so incredibly stressed out, and I had this opportunity in Dance Company to let it all out. And it was in that moment where I was like, dance, Navatman has given me this platform, this voice, this opportunity to just feel and to be and to dance and to be myself, and actually to feel like I had a place here. And I think that was what was so incredibly awesome about Navatman, is that being at this place, no matter your background, no matter your experience, you have a stake in it, in making this company successful and making this dream successful and making arts something that people care about. And I am just incredibly fortunate to have been able to transition to this arts focused part and being able to help make change through this. And I think I'm so thankful for the entire team to be able to allow me this opportunity.
Yeah, that's again so true, so beautifully said. Udita, Mithali, Sierra, any additional comments that perhaps build off of what Meg said or offer insight into your experience of what it means to be in a female-led, immigrant-led organization in this social and cultural moment that we're living in?
Yeah, I think speaking to the fact, so I'm an immigrant in this country and I've been here about 2 years now. And just from interning and working at different, various other bigger white organizations, if I can say. It's just been a very different experience. I don't know how to put this, but in the sense that when you're the only kind of immigrant in an organization, I used to intern at like a Broadway theater and all of that, and they were largely only white. I don't think I've ever seen a person of color in my office, at least where I used to work. So just being an immigrant over there, it was like Meg said, like it's when you firsthand experience the kind of way they react to two different people just because they're not like from this country. It kind of like you start thinking about it, right? And then that kind of, and it's also just considering the political climate in this country and everything that was going on, and like not knowing whether you're going to be in this country the next year because of your visa status. It's a little terrifying, honestly, just not knowing what your future holds for you just because you're an immigrant in the country. So in that sense, I'm very, very grateful to Navatman for just being the kind of organization they are in terms of how open and welcome they are towards anybody, and irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their color, their sex, like all of that. I think they're very, very open, they're very diverse and inclusive, and it came at the right time, I'd say, because I graduated in May and they were there throughout. And I've been with Navatman since 2018, interning, volunteering, working for them, and they were there throughout. And there was not, I don't think, a single, I don't think Sahi had like any doubt about like hiring or any of that. And if she wasn't even looking at it in terms of, like hiring immigrants next year, what are we going to do with visa, things like that. So it's been very, very rewarding in that sense, and they've been very welcoming, and that's how Navatman's made a difference to me in my life. And it came at the right time, and it just really worked out.
I can say that I'm not an immigrant, I'm not a minority, and I think I haven't been part of an organization like this before. So it's certainly eye-opening to become more aware of the challenges faced by an organization like this, and the experiences of all the people that I'm working with. And so there's a lot of challenges, but I also feel that it also brings a totally different sort of power, not like power and influence within the cultural world, which is harder to gain as this kind of organization, but a different sort of power of, like I said before, adaptability and resilience, I guess, I feel is very different here than other things I've been a part of. And I feel like that a lot of that comes from experiences of people who have had to face challenges and cultures that have had to go through a lot. And so I think that's reflected in the way we work here for sure. As an outsider kind of witnessing that, I think that there is an additional, like even something more that those challenges do bring that I really feel here with the way we work together. We don't let divisiveness get in our way here at all, between employees, between anything. So I don't know if that's really changed this year in particular, but it's something that I'm especially aware of right now, that I think really works to our advantage, even though it can be a challenge. That it's really an asset that deserves to be more recognized.
Yeah, and that awareness is such an important part of it. That's such an important piece in itself. And I love that you use the term resilience. I think that's such a perfect way to describe, it's one of the many words that describes Navatman's spirit, and specifically the spirit that is brought to the organization by staff like yourselves. So thank you guys so much for joining and for sharing this, candid, honest, intimate discussion. This has been really beautiful, very moving. I'll end this section with two additional points. So one is Another great piece of news is we've just had a few different donors submit donations, pledges for next year. So thank you so much to all of you who have just donated. We are now up to 17,850, which is incredible and is getting us closer to our goal of 30,000 plus for this evening. So again, immense amount of gratitude to all of you who have donated and who continue to support the Navatman organization in every way. I think we have a video clip from some of the new programming that you guys on the staff had helped to put out this year in the form of our nuance classes, which I know we'll talk a little bit about in more detail later when we talk to some of our teachers and students. But for our team here, could we cue up the clip of the nuance classes and take a look?
So my suggestion is that Bharatanatyam dancers should reduce the number of gestures they do and add what you're saying between two distantly placed gestures. So instead of saying Sakhiye, Sakhiye, Alipiya Bina, like 4 gestures we did, right? You can just do it with 1 or 2 at the most. And that is more effective, okay, than to move between gestures. Okay, so try that. Economy of gestures, Kashi, okay? Absolute economy of gestures.
Excellent. So that was a clip from one of the nuance classes. And again, you can see Mayaji teaching through the digital medium. So we'll talk about more of this in subsequent sections here. But now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about the Navatman Dance Company, professional company, and the new troupe that has formed this year. So again, to all of you who have been with us for the past about an hour and a half or so, thank you so much for staying with us, and we hope you're enjoying the conversation. We hope you are getting a chance to connect with many of us at Navatman through the volunteers that are reaching out to you. You're also welcome to join the organization and learn more about it by visiting us at navatman.org. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are going through a series of conversations here and talking to the many different people that make the Navatman community and organization as rich and vibrant as it is today. So we're using this time to celebrate and reminisce on the moments of creativity, transformation, and rebirth that are happening thanks to Navatman this year, those moments of creativity that come from struggle. So you just heard from Navatman's staff. This is really exciting because of donations last year. We were able to have a real staff on payroll this year. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to turn the conversation over to Navatman Dance Company. So we have Udita, who's joined us, and Sahi, if I can request you to join us again, hi, on video. I'd love to spend a few moments and learn about what's going on with NDC. As I understand, this is a new troupe this year. Can you talk to us about what's happening, how the troupe came together? What are some of the highlights of this year?
So for me, what's been a really big shift from when we first started, the troupe was like 10 people when we first started way back in 2010, 2011, and everybody had full-time jobs. Nobody could really devote more than 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week to dance. And now this company, 3 of the members are part-time, 3 of the 5 of us are part-time. I'm full-time, but are either full-time. Me and Udi are full-time. Meg is part-time, and Kripa and Aparna also works here as a kind of contractor, and Kripa volunteers and helps out. But we have the most dedicated team of dancers I've ever seen in my entire life. So we get to practice now 10, 20 hours a week when there's shows coming up. We always practice 10 hours in the off season, no matter what, training and coming up. And there's a really big sense of possibility in a way that we haven't had before, because we haven't had the both dedication of the members, the experience on my end, because when you're inexperienced, you're inexperienced. You have to wait for those moments to build. So I'm very excited for that, which we can put out over the next year or 2 years. I think you're going to see a massive shift in the capabilities of what we do. You already see it in the work this year. If you watch the work from this year to like performances from 10 years back on our YouTube channel, the quality of what we're doing is totally different. It's amazing.
And I think speaking of watching what you've been doing this year, I think we do have a video clip of one of the performances that you put together for the Queen's Library. So if we could cue that up, maybe we can watch that and then continue this discussion.
Yes, and as Mahi cues it up, go ahead,
yes.
Mahi, you can cue it up while I'm talking. I forgot to mention Shritina because she has been on maternity leave. I'm so sorry. But she is also another member of Navatman who brings such incredible work into the company. Having her training for almost 30 plus years at Temple of Fine Arts and stuff like that does something when you can add members like that to the dance company like ours and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Great.
बुद्धि प्रकाशक भुवनेशा शक्ति मनोन्मणि शंकरी सुंदरी चिकला मालिनी शिवकामी चित्तुक अंबर तांडवदत्पद सत्यज्ञान मनंत महेश
So this is just one of many examples where you guys recorded online and then submitted to this. I mean, ostensibly, this would have been an actual performance at the Queen's Library, right? Physically, if or not.
In 2020 times, it's actually our little black box theater at Navatman. You wouldn't recognize it, but it's our studio. Right. And this was how we kind of stayed safe. Queen's Public Library gave us their permissions and passwords, and we live streamed to their account from our space. So Dance Company has been in its own COVID bubble. I don't know if anyone saw the New York Times article written recently, but a lot of dance companies are sort of agreeing not to see other people so that they can continue their practice together and stay safe, which we've been doing when it started to become safe again to interact with others.
Okay, so can you talk more about this then? So what is it like to practice online and put together performances that are then distributed through the online medium? This might be an example. Obviously, Drive East would have been a great example of that as well. Can you talk about what went into that and what it was like?
Yeah, sure. I think I can start off. I think just as a new company that we all came together, we auditioned and began practice just even without even getting to know each other. The first time we started practicing together was online, so we just began that way. And then so it was a little challenging, of course, to understand how we were as individually as dancers and like how we move together, gel together. But it didn't stop us, I would say, like in any way. We still dedicated enough all that time every week to make sure we have those hours to understand what we're doing. made our notes, took down everything that we had to do, did our homework, read up. We started reading up books about Shiva, which is what our piece for Drive East this year was. So we started doing all of that. And then eventually, I think 2 weeks 2 weeks before the show was when we had to come into practice in person. And I don't think we felt any different, in the sense that we felt like we were connected throughout. Even though we didn't meet in person, I think we really felt like we had this. It wasn't that difficult, as like we were freaking out because we couldn't practice together till maybe 2 weeks before the show, but it all really pulled through and it worked out, because I think those 2 weeks we put in everything that we had. And we realized that we are actually way more similar than we think we are. So it really worked out and we were able to pull through. So it was a different experience.
From the artistic director perspective, I was having a panic attack. It takes years before a company can look like a dance company, because you need time together in a space. The energy has to build. And not only were we a new company, but we did not dance alike in January. Like, I think our first show was like, okay, we have to do it because like maybe for audience members it wasn't so obvious, but for us as dancers, we were like, we got some work to do here. And so then, of course, immediately after our first show, we went into lockdown, and I was like, all right, we got, show must go on, we'll figure it out. But somehow, in the online practice sessions that we had and the amount of hours that they put in, if you watch the Drive East clip that we have now, we operate like a team. That's very clear to us. And if we started here, again, excited to see where we go and go from there.
Yeah, that's an incredibly short amount of time to create that kind of sense of gelling and the chemistry that you're talking about. Let's watch that clip. Let's watch the excerpt from the Drive East performance.
It was so short. So, can you guys give us any sort of glimpse into plans for the near future? What are some of the things that we may be able to look forward to? Oh gosh. We were just talking about this, and I think a lot of it was, I have, over the years, we've accumulated probably solidly 30 to 40 choreographies. So I think we want to revisit some of our old stuff, but then the clip that you just saw is a little bit more of the path that we'll be taking over the next year. I have plenty of ideas. Question is, can we execute them? And we, honestly, dance company, we don't have Kavi and Samyukta here. But I also want to make sure that we also acknowledge that our musicians, we feel, are part of our dance company. Without Kavi and Samyukta, who build the music for us and really bring a totally different vibe and element into everything, the dance is not nearly as powerful. So a big round of applause to Samyukta, who made all of that music in less than a month and a half, something like that. And this year, I have to also special shout out to Vignesh Ravichandran, who the main piece from which everything started from was from his poetry. So maybe as I'm talking, what you'll see next year is more musical and poetic compositions that are our own versus perhaps some of the more traditional Tanjore Quartet, Dikshitar, so on, songs that you're used to hearing, which allow us to incorporate thematics, Shiva's Tripura Path to Destruction was about this year, actually. It was about 2020. So when we have musicians who can also be as creative as we are as dancers, we get to create work that is more composed for the time that we're in and go from there. So that's what you'll see, I think, in the next year or so.
Well, I can say that being in the audience and supporting from a volunteer perspective for many of your shows, it's just always so moving and such a pleasure to watch you perform. And the fact that you do stay so tightly connected to what's happening socially, culturally, financially in the world around us, what it means to be making these performances today in New York City as we're going through this kind of crucible of change, especially this year and next year, is something that makes your performances, the dance companies and the Navatman's performances unique, and special and meaningful. So I probably speak on behalf of many people when I say that we're really excited to see the new developments and productions that you work on into 2021. So really looking forward to that. I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I know this was kind of a brief conversation. We can talk for hours about all of the incredible work that you're doing and all of those many ideas, Sahi, that you have. But we'll save that for another time. We'll save that for the next conversation. But I just want to say thank you for joining and for sharing these highlights from this year and for teeing us up for next year. At this point, I would like to just acknowledge everyone that's been listening into this phone-a-thon live stream. We are all spread out in different parts of the states, and we're all here with you live today, having these conversations about how Navatman has been kind of a shining light through the darkness of much of the struggle and challenge this year. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a light that provides energy and focus for the community, but that also illuminates moments of creativity and transformation and rebirth that are coming from the challenges and struggles that we've all been facing in so many different ways. So we're also having our volunteers reach out to everyone, part of the Navatman community, directly through phone calls, texts, emails, to have discussions about what makes Navatman so special to you. So thank you for engaging in those conversations. We're also using this time to fundraise. Our goal is $30,000 by the end of tonight, and we are just at about $17,850. So that's a huge thank you to everyone that has donated over the past few hours that have gotten us as an organization this far in the history of Navatman and will help us continue to do this great work into the next year. So on this note of kind of building out the organization and amplifying the voice of Navatman, growing the community, I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes with our development team to talk about how development is going and sort of what has changed this year. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mahi to the conversation. Mahi is also much of the mastermind behind the tech and production of everything that you see here today. So sometimes I think that she has like 8 arms to get everything done because she's multi-talented. So thanks, Mahi, for taking some time out and talking to me about the development team. I also am a volunteer on the development team, so Mahi and I work very closely. I just joined recently this year. Mahi has been with the team much longer. So Mahi, do you want to talk about sort of what's going on with development at Navatman? What's new this year? What's the story?
How much time do you have? I think there's definitely a lot going on. I think people who know Navatman, I think pre-COVID, even during this entire pandemic year, know that Navatman hasn't stopped, hasn't skipped a beat. We transitioned from being, in person to virtual, I think just in a couple of hours, if not sooner. And we've started a lot of new initiatives this way, just kind of knowing that everything is virtual and everybody's spending a lot of time at home. And one of the key things or a few things that we started is we started like a new journal entries. So if you go into Navatman website, you'll see all these journals, stories, or articles that people have written or we've like discussed. And we've started a new podcast, again, just kind of opening up cultures and talking and discussing what's going on in our dance world or at Navatman, you know, anything and everything I think you wanted to know. Because everything is being moved into virtual, we did the same thing. And we've opened up a dialogue for our viewers, our attendees, patrons, anybody who was interested in finding out more. We've opened up the venue, like we've gone virtual. We've got students in 5 countries, just because there's no more time constraints. I have to be in person. I think that way we've grown quite a bit. The team, I think, has grown a lot. We're actually missing our partner in crime, Lavanya, who couldn't make it today. But I think together we are looking forward to doing much more for 2021. And I think I just want to personally thank everybody who's donated. It's amazing to see so many group of people come together in such short time who believe in Navatman and who want to see us and push us forward. If you guys haven't already and are interested in donating, please go to navatman.org/donations. You can make pledges weekly, monthly, or one time. We really appreciate it, and we can't do what we do without your help and support. I don't know, Anjali, if you have any more to add, but
No, that's basically, yeah, it's kind of a quick survey of all of the change that has been happening. But you know, you're so right that the community has grown in many ways thanks to the digital tools and solutions that we now have available to us. I remember that several of our fundraisers have also gone entirely online, just like this one. But we had done like a Mahabharata director's cut fundraiser earlier this year, where we revisited certain scenes in the Mahabharata performance from last year with commentary from many of the cast members and the creative minds that put the production together. So there's been a lot of kind of pivoting and then growth thanks to the tech solutions. But Mahi, I'm wondering if you could also talk a little bit about or just comment on the volunteers at Navatman. I know you run the you're on the volunteer committee as well. So you know kind of what it takes to get volunteers to participate, and you see the fruits of that labor. Can you just maybe reflect on that for a couple minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I think nothing can be done without volunteers. I know we talked a little bit about this in our podcast as well. But like, again, I think no organization, no event can be put together without the groups of people behind us, right? I mean, Sahi and Navatman and a handful of people are the faces, but behind them, there's like an entire set of group that nobody really sees. And they're like the silent workers, they're the silent supporters that show up day in, day out, that respond. And, you know, we are open to whoever can help us. If it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to send out emails, helping us research, you know, about a new application that we could use to maybe going virtual, or if it's spending hours helping us do tech. However way I think you can help us, we always appreciate it. We'll never turn down a volunteer. And I think if you guys are interested in volunteering, you could always email us at volunteers@navatman.org, and we'll get back to you right away with what's coming up, how you can help out, and we definitely will work around your schedule. There's no time constraints or contributions that way. But again, personal thank you to all the volunteers that have showed up, that continue to show up. We're very grateful.
Yeah, and a personal thank you to you as well, Mahi, for bringing volunteers in and training them. I joined also as a volunteer, I think initially for Drive East. I was helping with kind of the ticketing and with handing out flyers and things like that. And you were the kind of my the light at the end of the tunnel that was showing me like what to do and where to go. And for someone I was new to New York, you just made it very seamless and easy to follow, and having me get trained and know what to do and how to become part of the Navatman community. And that was the doorway to so many other facets of the organization. So it is a very robust and tightly connected volunteering network as well. So thanks to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put a pause here. Thank you, Mahi, again for joining us and for talking about development at Navatman. For all of you who have just tuned in, thank you so much for joining. For those of you who have been with us for the past couple of hours, thanks for staying with us. We hope you're enjoying these conversations. As a reminder, this is Navatman's Fall 2020 fundraiser, which is a phone-a-thon. So we are having conversations with many of the faces and voices behind the scenes at the Navatman community. We're also using this time to, of course, fundraise for the community into next year. So if you haven't donated yet, please do consider visiting us at navatman.org/donate to make a pledge as we continue all of this great work into the future. We're currently at about 17,850 out of our goal, which is 30,000. So thanks from the bottom of our hearts to everyone that has donated. And again, if you like what you're hearing and you want to support in any way, please do reach out. So next, we're going to bring on several individuals from Navatman's school. So one of the core missions at Navatman is to nurture personal evolution through classical dance and music traditions. And much of this happens within the classrooms, right, within Navatman school. So now we'll be joined by teachers of Navatman school. So all of you who are here to represent the school and teacher conversation, if you could turn on your videos and unmute yourselves. Looking forward to hearing about what's going on and the many changes that are happening, and hear your perspective on what the future holds. So thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Maybe we can start with a quick round of introductions, maybe your name, your role within the Navatman school, how you came to Navatman, and then we'll dive into the conversation. So Samyukta, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Samyukta Ranganathan, for those who don't know me. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Hold up. I run the school, so I head the school and the vocal department. I'm a singer and I teach private lessons. I teach the group classes for Carnatic and Hindustani music. And I also sing for Navatman dance that you heard about earlier. And it's been an incredible journey for me. I think I've slowly come from summer camp to part-time teaching to more part-time staff and now to a full-time position earlier this year, which has been extremely interesting and fascinating. I'm really happy to be a part of this whole journey that Navatman is taking.
And then Mika, I'll go to you next.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Mika Parida. I have been a student at Navatman for the past, I would say, probably 4 years now, and I started teaching Kathak about 2 years ago. And yeah, I've really enjoyed teaching here. I've really enjoyed being a student here, and I'm happy to talk more about being a teacher here.
Great. Maybe Ruchi next.
Hi, I'm Ruchi, and I've been teaching here at Navatman since January of this year. I teach Kathak and also help for teaching pre-K classes. Yeah, and I was a student here. I have been a student here and continue being a student for the last 4 years, and then just started teaching recently.
And Ruchi, I know you're a part of the conversation earlier with the Mahabharata cast, so it's good to have you back. Thanks for coming back on to the live stream. Prachi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Prachi. I have been with Navatman for the past 4 years. First started in a student and admin position with a work study program, and that evolved into teaching for the past 3 years. I teach pre-K and I teach a little bit of Kathak. Thanks.
Wonderful. All right. And I think that's all we have for this school. Shruti, thanks for joining. I think you're here for one of the following sections. Is that correct? I just want to confirm.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sure. All right, so we'll talk school first and then I'll move into the student reps and the next section. So, all right, so thanks to all of you again for joining. And we have so many different elements of the school represented here, different styles and all of that. So maybe we can start with sort of how the school has changed over the years and what the status is today. Obviously, there's been a lot of change this year with so many classes moving online. So can you talk about what some of the most significant changes have been and how the process has gone? And the floor is open, free-flowing discussion, so feel free to jump in.
I can start with that. I remember, I think when I first came on, I was the only one teaching music, and Sahi and a few others was teaching Kathak and Bharatnatyam. Since then, and I've only been actually, it feels like forever, but I've only been with Navatman, I think, about 3.5 years, if that. And in the 3 years, we have grown, I think, leaps and bounds. We have Sierra and Keisha that help with the administrative side of the school starting this year. We have added a couple new departments. We've added Odissi, we've added Mridangam. Shritina Subramaniam takes the Odissi department, and Kavi Srinivasa Raghavan teaches the Mridangam class, and he's also joined my vocal class as well. And I think one of the most wonderful things that's happened this year is we have the maestro Prashant Shah leading the Kathak department. I think he's been on in behind the scenes as a consultant for a long time, but he's taking front and center lead in the choreography, the curriculum, training all of our teachers week in, week out. And I think that's been a huge change this year. Despite COVID, we've still grown as a school. And I think we've more than doubled, almost tripled the number of teachers that we have. You see just a few of them here. We also have, I think, about 150 individual students, each of them who take approximately, like on average, 2 classes per student. So there are 300 different students, if you multiply them by the factor of 2, that we have at this point. And we're actually, I think, expecting to or hoping to double that number going forward, in which case we would also need teachers to join that doubling so we can handle the students and give them the individual attention that we've always given them. And I think the growth of the school and the way we've kind of come together cohesively as a unit and with a cohesive curriculum and a standardized practice that we impart to all of our students, I think that's been the biggest change that I've seen in my short time here.
Yeah, that's great. And that's so exciting. You're talking about adding new forms, new styles, new things for students to learn. And you mentioned Prashant Shah. I believe we have a video clip that shows sort of him and what he's bringing to Navatman. I wonder, Mahi, if we can cue that up and play that. Maybe we'll give it one more try and see if it works.
Really drop. It should drop. It should drop. Yeah, feel the line. Whatever space you have it around you, make it dance. The space should dance around you. Don't feel that, okay, your hands are doing something. You have to make sure that the hands should drop. They should make a mood. One last time. 1.
That's great. So yeah, really exciting. And obviously, as you can see from this video and Samyukta, as you mentioned, a lot of the instruction is happening over digital media now. So how has this been for the school? How have you kind of handled this pivot to Zoom classes and everything actually that's related to the COVID tradition? I know sometimes there's this sort of expectation or assumption that teaching through the digital medium is subpar to teaching in person or face to face. So how have you kind of dealt with that? What has the experience been for all of you as teachers this year?
If someone else wants to take it, otherwise I can quickly jump in and.
Sure. Why don't you start and then we can.
All right. Sounds good. So yes, the medium has changed. Things change with the times. The medium has changed for where we are in our current situation, but the content and the ability to deliver that content hasn't changed. We're still delivering the correct technique, the correct content. The engagement actually has been maintained throughout being online. It does have its challenges, but if we look at Zoom as a platform where we can look for the advantages and use that instead. So for instance, in a music class, for instance, repetition becomes the key to be able to learn that same item or same line. And repetition also builds habit. So you're basically learning the same thing over and over again in class, which means your homework actually gets much, much easier to do. You're not scratching your head thinking, what did she say again? So that's what repetition does. And that's something we've quickly latched onto as a teaching technique for Zoom. And it still has the advantages of a group class. You still listen to your teachers give your colleagues or your classmates corrections. You still hear the positives of their technique versus your technique, and you use that as a sense of motivation or camaraderie. And that group environment still remains even though we are on Zoom. Actually, in some ways, Zoom may have helped with more individual attention because a teacher can only look or listen to one person at a time. Or if you're a dancer, maybe you're just looking at a couple of frames at a time, which means your eyes as a teacher is individually placed, or your ears are individually placed on that one student. So I am able to give very specific corrections to my students and give them and approach it in such a way that this is your correction. However, everybody else see if you're doing the same thing, and then we kind of go around that way, and the learning becomes actually much more engaging and creative, if you will. And speaking to you saying, Zoom is subpar, I hear that a lot. I hear, it's not the same. Yes, it isn't the same, right? We're all online, it's not the same. But does that actually mean that it's subpar? I don't think so. I think a lot of it has to do with the mindset of you when you enter the class. If you're going to enter the class thinking, oh God, Zoom is subpar, then likely is that you're going to fulfill that prophecy and you're going to leave the class thinking that you're not really gaining anything from it. But when you come into the class and the teachers do an amazing job of making sure every kid is excited, every student is excited to, even being on Zoom, you're still in that class together. And if you come in with that attitude of, I'm going to take something away, I'm going to put in my best effort like I do when I'm in a group class in person, you'll walk away with the same results, if not better results.
Yeah, so it's very much about the expectation and being open to working, I suppose, with this new medium. So Mika, Ruchi, Prachi, curious to hear your experiences of now teaching over Zoom this year.
So
yeah,
I think, oh, sorry, Mika, you can go for it.
Go ahead, Ruchi.
Okay. The experience has definitely been different and interesting, but I think that as a school, we are succeeding and we are handling this change with such a strong might that we can do this, and it's something that we can overcome and succeed at. My experience is that I teach younger students in the pre-K level, so around 4 or 5, 6 years old. And it is a little bit more difficult to interact with them since we're not in person, but it's forcing them to be able to communicate things that we might not be able to understand if we're not in person. So it's forcing them to get out of their comfort zone and really try their best to communicate with someone over a screen and say, Prachi Didi, Ruchi Didi, Mika, Samika Didi, I'm not understanding this. And we can help figure that out. And it's something that we're all learning together as a team to deal with and really grow from there. So I think it's really pushed us as a school and as a team. Yeah.
On the same line as what Prachi was saying in the end, I think that everyone here has been really great with also coming up with new ways to react to how students are reacting or dealing with Zoom classes, and also sharing that amongst the teacher group as to how to handle one situation versus another, and how to deal with different students and the different kinds of behavior that they exhibit, or like just because you're learning from a screen, so all their different responses to this kind of learning, and how do you make that better for them and everyone and all the students in general. I think that's a very big point as a school, that we're continuously trying to come up with or understand better ways of dealing with each of them and share it between the teachers so that everyone can use them.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I think that our students are really resilient. We give them a challenge, whether we're in person or on Zoom, and I always see our students rise to the occasion. And so, of course, it's different for them to learn and to do things over Zoom, but it's something that, as long as we as teachers are bringing our best efforts and bringing our best work, our students then bring their best effort and best efforts to us. And so it was a little maybe clunky back in March, but I think now, I also work with young students. They all know exactly how to set themselves up, how to mute and unmute themselves, and be ready, be prepared, and be present for class. So it's, hopefully we can get back to teaching in person, but I think we're doing a great job over Zoom.
Yeah, that's such a great point.
Yeah, I also think that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to add that even the adult students, I think so many of them are very dedicated and very passionate about like learning a new dance form or music. And they've been pretty regular and showing up for the Zoom classes. And they seem to be taking everything in a really great manner. So I would have to second what Mika said. The students are really great. And I mean, I'm a student too, so I think that the teachers have done a great job with like actually teaching over Zoom and transitioning over to teach us through Zoom classes. I think it's been a good transition through the COVID phase, and I think it's been one of the things that has kept me going, like learning at Navatman and teaching now, but also learning has been one of the good things, one of the normal things that has persisted through COVID, and like been my happy place, if I had to put that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point, and so inspiring to hear of this, positive change. I want to pause for just a moment because we just got an update that we've had 2 new donations of $250 each. So 2 pledges for Navatman to continue into next year. So big round of applause to all of those who have just donated and to those who have been donating during the whole course of this event tonight and who have donated over the few weeks that we've been reaching out to you recently, and of course over the past year. Thank you so much. This now puts us over 18,000. We're looking at now 18,350, which gets us closer to our goal of 30,000 tonight. So great news and really exciting. So thanks to all of you tuning in, and thanks to all of you who are donating. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the specific programs that have happened this year. So I know that the summer camp, for example, was online, and then the nuance classes, I believe are new, a newer aspect of the school. Can you talk about how those have worked and how they've evolved and sort of what they bring to the school?
Yeah, so the nuance class actually was derived from everything being online. So this was a direct result of switching over to a Zoom-based class or an online-based class. It's a 2-hour deep dive into one specific aspect of the art form taught by masters from around the world. And the online platform actually allowed us to go and find people from far reaches of the world, being like, you can now teach people from everywhere else. So it kind of opened up for us how many people we could reach across the globe, how many countries we could go to across the globe. For instance, we have Hidayat Khan, the great sitar player, and he came in to do a series of nuance classes, and he's going to continue to do that with us. And there was someone from Madhya Pradesh who joined that class because he was so excited to take class with Hidayat Khan. So, and it felt important that we made that happen. And we're going to continue this on to next year. We're going to program it a little bit more tightly, I should say, where we're trying to offer specific overarching themes for Bharatanatyam or Kathak or vocals. So abhinaya or improvisation or vocal technique, and that's going to continue on into 2021. And it's been quite successful, and students leave with they almost leave with something that can enhance their current practice to the next level, no matter what level you are. So you don't have to be an advanced student to take this class. We offer the nuance classes in several different levels, and when they leave with that technique that when they apply to their practice, it actually enhances their practice on their own. So that's what we're striving to give people through these nuance classes. And for the summer camp, we were debating for a while: should we do it at all? Should we do it online? What should we do? We did do it online. And it was a big success. People were worried, oh God, Zoom fatigue, an entire day of summer camp. So if you don't know, summer camp starts at 10 and goes till 5 p.m. with a lunch break in between. We allowed people to drop in this time. Instead of taking the entire 6 hours, they could choose days to drop into or take hours off and things like that, which was good for them. But those kids, man, going back to what Mika was saying, they were resilient. No Zoom fatigue was stopping them from like taking class from morning to evening for 10 straight days. And we even managed to have a little show at the end, a little online show. And that worked out as well. Again, like, okay, how do we make this work? But we made it work, and they were so cute, and they loved being part of it. They had their little scripts, and they had their little dances and stories and everything put together, and it was fantastic. It actually came together really well. The kids who just decided to come for week 1, they were like, no, we're going to come back for week 2. It was really, really something special to see those kids being so engaged over the 10 days of being completely online.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and again, so kind of exciting and inspiring to hear that this growth and learning and development and fun of summer camp is still happening over Zoom. And when you're talking about the nuance classes, it's fascinating to think about now how students of various backgrounds, different geographic locations, are coming together to learn from a particular expert and go deep into a specific practice. That's not something that is very common or that I've seen, and let alone the tech aspect, right? That tech enables this. It's also something that reflects Navatman's value system and sort of philosophy of teaching dance and music. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about this, like the sort of philosophy of Navatman's school. What makes Navatman's teaching, methodology and approach to classical arts education unique?
I think that as a school, we really strive to be as inclusive as possible. We would never turn anybody away for any gender discrimination or age or race or religion. We are so accepting of everyone, and we hope to be a platform in which people can come to feel a sense of home and security. We've heard so many stories of students saying, Navatman's a place that I can come to and just be myself without having to worry about anything else, especially in light of the past year that we've been having in terms of all the whole political climate and Black Lives Matter. We really try to stay up to date and current with what's going on in the world. And we try to spread positivity within our community and hope that people come to us as a resource of, one, information, and two, a resource of comfort. We do try to hear everybody out and be of home for for our students and even our parents and everyone else.
Yeah, I agree with Prachi. That was one of the things that stuck out to me as well when I first came here. And I think one thing that we've tried to carry forward even through COVID and even through all of this stuff is each individual journey as a student is your own. It doesn't matter what the people around you are doing. Yes, there's a sense of camaraderie. Yes, there's a sense of motivation by being in a group, but your journey is your own. And we're programmed in society to believe in certain benchmarks or gradations. So the grade you get on a paper, the graduation, how many degrees have you completed, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're kind of pre-programmed to think that art works in the same way. And the more we teach people of so many backgrounds and so many levels and so many inherent talent, if you have that or if you didn't have that, it doesn't really matter what your background is. Your journey is your own, and we are striving to make sure that we give you that individual attention that you need, despite being in a large group class or whatever it is. And we also level our classes that way. We don't really say level 1, level 2. We say we kind of label it as to the content. So if you're in an advanced music class and you're still taking vocal preparation, that's fine. It means your vocal techniques needs a little work, perhaps. That's okay. That's your journey. It may not be somebody else's journey. It's your need at the time, and we're going to help you achieve every single goal that you want. So the only qualification you really need to come into Navatman is that you want to sing or dance. I don't think there's anything else that's stopping you from doing it, and we will help you get to wherever it is that you want to get to.
And just to add on to that, I totally agree with Samikta's point about it's everyone's own journey. And to kind of tie that back to the nuance classes, I think that, we allow anyone to participate in those nuance classes, and you are essentially getting to learn from different gurus than just the gurus that you're learning from at Navatman. And I think that's really unique to what we do. And I think it shows that we as teachers don't own what you're learning, and we want you to learn from so many different people to make you a better artist. And I think that, yeah, just really speaks to the point that Samikta was making, is that we are really trying to encourage every student's journey and to help them as much as we can.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. And I do have then a question that's related to that, which I know we've talked about sort of in the past and behind the scenes, which is your approach to the guru-shishya relationship. What is Navatman's sort of philosophy and approach to the guru-shishya relationship?
We respect it. We come from it, right? So a lot of our current state of being as an artist is because of the gurus that we've learned so much from. I myself learned from my guru for 20 years before he passed on, and now I have Sanjay Banerjee as my Hindustani guru that I learn from every single week. So, and we learn so much, and we are who we are because of it. But there is to be recognized that there is a power dynamic within that guru-shishya relationship that needs to be. We need to be aware of it and work with it. With that being said, I think we strive to respect every single student as individuals. Yes, we're imparting knowledge to you, but that doesn't mean I hold any power over you. I respect you as a student. I respect you as an individual, and I think we also recognize that equal respect has to be given the other way as well. So I think that's something that we hold very dear to our way of teaching. A student respects a teacher as a teacher respects a student, and I don't think any one of us in this Zoom space or in Navatman has said, just do what I say and don't question us. We've always had our doors open for questions. So I think that's one way I think the Guru Shishya Parampara is reflected in Navatman, is in that trust and openness that we strive to create within the school. And we, at the end of the day, I want we all want the best success for our students, and we'll do, like we said earlier, we'll do what it takes to get there. And I know at the end of every year that I I very proudly shed tears for my students as they perform their items on Student Showcase Day. And I don't know, I just like, oh, I'm not going to cry this time. Every year, like when we do the little get together before we get on stage, I'm like, because I'm thinking of my gurus and what they imparted to me, and I'm dying to get all of that knowledge out for my students. I think that's how it reflects for me in the school.
Great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's such an important point. So yeah, beautifully said. Thanks for sharing. I want to go back. Samyukta, you were just talking about this idea of trust and inclusivity. You mentioned, and I want to go back to something, Prachi, that you had said earlier, where you're talking about how welcoming and open the school is given this particular time, this social, cultural moment that we're in, political moment that we're in. Given everything that's happening, outside in the environment, what is it like leading a school within the nonprofit organization as women and as immigrants, right? It's so powerful what we have. And you see, everyone joining can see the faces, the representatives just here on the Zoom. And we've talked about this in some other aspects of the conversation too, with some of our staff members, but it's such a powerful part of Navatman that it is predominantly female-led, immigrant-led. What does that mean for you, specifically leading the school, given the conditions today?
Interestingly, when I was first looking for a job, for an arts-related job, I just quit a consulting company. I think a couple of years before that, a consulting company that was very white and male-dominated, and I had already seen 5 years of being a brown woman in a consulting organization. If, funnily enough, if they would put me on the roster as Sam R, because it was easier to be Sam R. And the language of the emails was very much as though it was being directed to a white man. And the minute they would meet me in person, they'd look at me and go, oh, and the language of the emails would change entirely. So, I'd seen plenty of that. And, it was refreshing to come to Navatman and be so welcomed for being who I was in this place. And my talent in both and skills in both music as well as the consulting field, I think Sahi saw that and was like, let's set her up for success. And I will always be grateful to Sahi for giving me this opportunity to lead the school. It's really very exciting, all the training that I've gone through with the company and slowly being grown into this role. With that being said, I think it's important that we recognize that there are biases out there externally, or even within our own community sometimes, that when you look at someone like us, that, the automatic assumption is we don't deserve the authority that we show. And it's something, I think it's a battle that we face every single day, and we have to set that reminder to repeat the statement. No, I do have a place here to say my piece, and I do have, I do run a business, or I do run a school, and I have the knowledge and the authority to say what I'm saying, and I do know what I'm doing. And while I may be young or was young, I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman, I do have that authority to say what I'm saying. And that questioning of what I'm doing, purely based on how I look, is something that I will face you with it. We all will face you with it. And I think I have the backs of all the teachers, and the company has my back, and we've always faced it together. And I think that's been really important as an immigrant woman here. And if we can continue to shed light and maybe create a pathway for the other people who will follow us in this field, I think we can achieve something good. And that extends to our students as well. Like when we train our teachers and when we teach our students in class, I think one of the concurrent lessons that run is that holistic, respectful, aware learning. You don't do it in a vacuum. And what does that come with? And that's like a lesson that has to be taught concurrently with any technical content that you're teaching.
Yeah, I love this idea of the consciousness, or that awareness is part of the teaching just as much as the technicality of music or dance. So this is such an important conversation. Thank you guys so much for sharing so candidly your experiences and talking about these critical issues, and also giving an update on the school. Maybe we can end with this one question of sort of looking forward. What are the sort of plans for investing in teachers next year, in teacher training, potentially hiring more teachers? What do you see playing out in 2021 and beyond?
So, like I said earlier, we have nearly double the teachers that we had previously, and we're hoping to keep expanding the school. I think we're looking to almost double the number of students that we have going forward, and we want to uh, have the capacity to take all of that in because that's what we love doing. But that means I think a fair salary for all of our teachers. They do it from the love of their hearts, but I think it's important that we have the money to train them, uh, to pay them fairly for the hours that they're putting in, and they put in all of those extra hours that they just put in it because they love their students and they believe in what we do. But what would be amazing is that if we could really spend the money and time training them and getting more teachers, training them up to the caliber that is required of our students, and paying them. I think that would be critical if we could actually pay our teachers fairly and well, and show them how well they're appreciated for doing the fantastic job they've been doing over the last 1 year, online, in person, private lessons, morning, evening. They're there for their students, and I think that has to be reflected. So I really hope that we can do that for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that being able to hire and to pay the teachers to continue in this way is a direct result from the donations that we are getting. As all of you, I think, know, everyone listening in, Navatman runs entirely on the support of our community. So if you like what you hear today, if you are inspired by the incredible, passionate, talented teachers that you see on this call, and those that are not on this call, that are all working so hard at Navatman to develop the next generation of artists, and conscious, respectful, engaged citizens, please do consider visiting us at navatman.org/donate to make a donation. And your proceeds go directly to funding the teachers like this and fueling the Navatman School. So Mika, Ruchi, Samyukta, Prachi, I want to thank you so much for taking this time to join us to, again, have this conversation. Before you go, I would like to sort of harken back to the student showcase and play a clip of the recent student showcase that was put together and was delivered digitally this year. Samyukta, you can cry again if you want, it's okay. But let's sort of reminisce and go back and take a look at the student showcase videos from spring of this year.
Seven, eight. Te, Ganapati Namo Namaha. Te, Digi Digi Te, Digi Digi Te. Vakratunda Maha Kaya. Te, Digi Digi Te, Digi Digi Te. Surya Koti Sama Prabha. Tattate, digi digi te, tattate, digi digi te, nirvignam kuru me deva. Tattate, digi digi te, tattate, digi digi te, sarvakaryeshu sarvada. Tatungate, tatungate, tatungata, din. Da, din, da, din, da, trakka, din, da, tat, Tic ta, tic tic, tic to, tic tic tat, tat, te. Tic ta, tic tic, tic to, tic tic tat, tat, te. Tic ta, tic tic, tic to, tic tic tat, tat, ta, din, din, da, da, din, da, da, din, da, trak, din, ta te tat, a te tat, ek, do, teen, char, ek, do, teen, ek, do, ek, da, te tat, a te tat, ek, do, teen, char, ek, do, teen, ek, do, ek, ta te tat, a te tat, ek, do, teen, char, ek, do, teen, ek, do, da, din, da, din.
Yeah, so great. It's such a good moment to watch the student showcase every year. So it's super, super, super cool that the school was able to make it happen, bring everyone together and have it, the show go on with all of such our committed students this year with the online medium. So really, really uplifting and so good to revisit that. So again, teachers, thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to everyone who's listening in to this conversation. As a reminder, this is Navatman's fall fundraiser for 2020. This is our phone-a-thon, so we're having conversations with the many faces behind the Navatman community. You just heard from our teachers representing Navatman School. And now we're going to turn to the next section. I do want to remind you that over the course of this evening, our volunteers are reaching out to many of the individuals who are part of the Navatman community, and they are reaching out to you via email or text or call, all in the spirit of engaging with you, talking about what makes Navatman so special, talking about your personal individual connection to the organization. If you like what you hear during the conversations here today, please do consider making a donation so that Navatman can continue into the future. It can continue with this vibrant positivity and energy and creativity and transformation that you're seeing is already underway this year. I think we're over $18,000 right now out of our goal of 30,000. So huge thank you to everyone that has donated so far. And again, if you're so moved, please do get in touch with us. You can visit us at navatman.org/donate or talk to any of the volunteers who are reaching out to you. So you've heard already a lot about how Navatman is growing and is changing. And now we're going to switch gears just a little bit and take a bit of a walk down memory lane. Navatman is over 10 years old. And, we love reconvening with those supporters that have been with the organization throughout. Those individuals, especially who have been with Navatman since the early years, right, since the inception, that have seen it evolve into the incredible organization that it is today. We also, of course, love exchanging thoughts and reflections with some of our newest students. So here we are convening a group of parents, many who have been with Navatman for years and years, as well as student representatives, some who are newer to the organization. So thank you all for joining. If you're here for this section, please make sure your videos are on and you can unmute yourselves as well. Let's start with a round of brief introductions. If you could tell us maybe your name, how you've been engaged with Navatman and how long, then we'll dive into the actual conversation. So I'll call out the names since we have a big group here. I'll just go in order that I see on my screen. Maybe Sejal, we can start with you.
Hi, my name is Sejal Shah, and I, in 2013, I believe it was in Central Park with my kids listening to Falu, who's a Hindustani artist. And after she was done, we heard this announcement of a summer camp, a Bharatanatyam dance summer camp being held. And I come from Bharatanatyam myself as a young child all the way through grad school. I had been taking classes and performing. So right away got in contact. Sahi happened to be my contact person. And, she was just very welcoming and said, go ahead, bring your daughter. So my daughter, along with my cousin's kids from upstate and a friend of ours who lived around the corner, they all joined the camp for a week. And it was amazing. Amazing to see these kids light up, especially on that Friday where we got to watch all of them perform for us. And it felt, I had been looking for a while for myself and my daughters, and it just felt like home for me. So that was my first introduction.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Next, I have Bhuvna, would you mind introducing yourself and talking about how you first got involved with Navatman?
My name is Bhuvna Bhagat. I think it's almost a decade now since we've been in association with Navatman. I had watched Sahi and Sridhar, or one of them or both of them, perform at an art gallery or some other place. I was trying to remember actually. And I really loved, how true to the form they were. But there's no mix, nothing. It was just pure Bharatanatyam that they had performed. They said they have classes and had a number and an address. I literally walked in with my, I think Janani was 2, 3, and it was a lady there, and then there was Sahi, and I was like, this is all, and it looked like a home/studio, and I was like, did I enter somebody's home? And then it was actually Sahi and her mom who was helping her set it up like a studio at that time. And immediately she said, yeah, please come in. And then she said, I'll do a trial class. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And then it was just like, here is a student and here we take in. And they just were so welcoming. And that's it. And after that, we made our schedules and we've been here. It's now 2020 and, we can't wait to continue our sort of our, it's almost like family for us. Navatman has been very much part of every stage of Janani's growing up. So we love it.
Yeah, that's great. And I know we heard from Janani earlier in the Mahabharata section, and I think we may be hearing from her, if I'm not mistaken, again later on today. So great to see her. Lekha and Sarah have been on this call as well. We heard from Lekha earlier. Sarah will be on later this evening. So that continuation is certainly, there through the generations. Anne-Marie, I'll turn it to you.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Van Roosel, and I'm a parent of a student. And my first experience with Navatman actually came just from my own personal experience. I work at the Library for the Performing Arts, which is at Lincoln Center. It's part of the New York Public Library, and we have a lot of public programs. And I happened to attend one program where Sahi and Sridhar and another dancer were performing to support an author talking about a book about how textiles move on the bodies of South Indian dancers. And it was just such a compelling program. It was wonderful to see dancers within our library space. And I noticed in the program that at the bottom it said that the dancers were from an organization called Navatman that held classes. At the time, my daughter was just about 2.5, and my husband is from Kerala, and I was a dancer myself for many, many years, and it just seemed like the perfect kind of confluence of opportunities. And so I spoke to Sahi after the program, and I said, is my daughter old enough to join? She was still so young. And Sahi said, yes, we actually have a class just for the littlest ones. And so I remember taking my daughter to a loft in Koreatown. It was just a wonderful New York experience. And the teacher was so kind and really structured the class in a way that was very age appropriate and telling stories about Ganesha and all these wonderful epic stories from the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And it just seemed like a community that we really wanted to be part of. And so now my daughter is 8.5. And she has been at Navatman ever since, expanding the kinds of classes that she's taking. She's now been studying Bharatanatyam and Kathak for a number of years, doing the summer camps. And then as just a mother-daughter, we and my husband, we have really loved attending Drive East as well. So we are thrilled to be part of the Navatman family.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love hearing these stories from all of you who have, been with the organization for so long, and it's incredible to hear about that moment of kind of inception when you first learned about the name Navatman. So very grateful that you have made the time to be with us today to talk about these memories. So I'll turn it now to the students, to the student reps. Could you introduce yourselves, to share your name and how long you've been engaged with Navatman, and sort of how you first came to the organization? Hema, we'll start with you.
Yeah, hi Anjali, thank you. So my name is Hema. I've been working in New York as a technical consultant for about 10 years or so. And to talk about my dance, I have to go back to my childhood. So I was raised in Chennai in India, and many of you might know that it's a cultural hub of Carnatic music and classical dance. But unfortunately, I never got a chance to explore it in India. So it was always hanging with me that, okay, I didn't learn dance, I missed it. So one fine day I was walking in New York and it just hit me. Okay, now I'm independent. What's stopping me from learning? So that was a triggering point. So then I started exploring the dance schools around, and the first criteria I had was something that's commutable. So, and then, yeah, I saw Navatman, it was very close to the station. I was like, okay, now I don't have an excuse not to try it. So, and then one of my friends had already taken a trial class and she said, go for it, you will love it. And she was right. So first class when I came, I tried a Tuesday class, and I had a conversation with Sahi, and she wanted me to try another class. And then she put me on the group that I fit in. And I must say it was a wonderful bunch of students also with me in the batch. And Sahi as a teacher, she's very well organized and very punctual. And 1 hour class, that's not even a single class where I've left without learning anything new. There's always something I learned new, or I've refined something that I've already learned. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more years. And it's now 2 years and counting. So I'm now repping for a Tuesday class along with Gayatri Shivaram. So this is a new role that came to me, and I'm glad I took it. That's it. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Prachi, we'll go to you next, and then Shruti, you can go after that.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Prachi. My first introduction to Navatman, I think I was 18 at the time. I had been dancing, doing Indian classical, Bharatanatyam and Kathak for 16 years of my life. And I was in search of a new school, in search of a new home, in a sense, looking for another place to express all of these dancing urges. And a colleague of my parents mentioned Drive East and how it's this big festival that happens every summer that this great dance school Navatman puts on. And of course I had to look into it. I eventually reached out to Sahi, and it turned into a lovely work study program where I got to volunteer and I got to take classes, and I was in teacher training programs, and I got to be a student rep as well. So getting involved in the community in every aspect of it, and being disciplined within the dance and the administration has carried on through all of my life. Dance teaches you so much discipline that works throughout school and works throughout, your career. So yeah, I've been with Navatman for the past 4 years, teaching, learning consistently, and it's been an amazing experience. Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti. I've been with Navatman for roughly a year, a little more than a year, and it's been such a fantastic experience. My introduction to Navatman was actually through Drive East. I saw a Kathak performance by Swati Sinha. It was wonderful. It was just indescribably brilliant. She presented a communal and religious harmony sort of a perform in one of her sequences, and I just felt like it is so relevant in the political climate and just we're living in, and it moved me a lot. What I also noticed was that it was just very beautifully managed and everything went really well. So I became curious about Navatman, and I wanted to be associated in some way. So I wrote them an email asking if they have beginner classes for adults, because I know a lot of schools have classes for younger children, but I've always wanted to learn Kathak. Never had an opportunity back in India, so I wanted to start. And I got a really prompt reply, and they said, "Yeah, the new semester starts in the fall." And I took a trial class. It was Keisha who was teaching us back then, and it was great. It wasn't intimidating at all. It was just very welcoming and fun, and just I felt like it would be a really great place for me to start and continue.
That's wonderful. And again, I love hearing these stories of people joining Navatman at various ages, at various with various backgrounds in music and dance. And earlier in the conversation, we've been hearing from other students and other teachers in the school talking about how the school is just very open and welcoming. And Prachi, you were part of the conversation as well, and talking about how the only qualification to become a student at Navatman is the desire to learn dance or music. That is the only thing, which makes the school, very special. So we have so many different sort of perspectives represented in this group here, and you all have kind of walked into Navatman at different points in time, right? It was almost like a different version of Navatman 12 years ago, up until just 1 to 2 years ago. So I'm curious about, we've talked again about so many changes, the growth, the pivot to digital, all of that. But from your perspective, since you have seen Navatman over the past decade plus, what have you observed that has stayed the same? What are some of the consistencies in what makes Navatman Navatman? And floor is open. Anyone who has a thought is free to speak. Go for it.
Well,
I'll go first.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Sejal, go ahead.
Well, when Bhuvana and I both joined, she joined just a little bit before me. It was really a grassroots organization. We joined when the studio was on 7th Avenue, and I think in the 20s. And you go up these stairs, these rickety stairs, and the door opens, and to your right is the small little office that has all these musical instruments, and people might be singing in there, students are in there, and then you walk back and into a main room, and that's where the dancing studio is, which would transform into a performing studio just like that. The energy that you walked into was palpable, and the faces that you would see would all still be just eager, smiling, ready. You felt like one of everyone else, and that part has not changed. And even though they've changed spaces, that feeling that everyone is part of it, that energy just holds all of us together, and that grassroots feeling is still there. And I didn't even realize that there's so many followers now, through the YouTube channel and through these podcasts. It blows my mind that this is something bigger than all of us. And it's been amazing to see its transformation through and through. Yet everyone is still who they are. And we always are welcomed as one of everyone.
Yeah, I second what Sejal just said about, it being the grassroots organization, and like you can just see, you go there and you're there for what you want for, which is the dance and the music. I think the other piece is they're just being consistent with their, what their objective has been. And for an organization to not morph into something else, they signed up for being an Indian art, sort of a art center. And that's what it's been, they brought in, and they just got richer and richer with Drive East adding up with, all kinds of art forms, not just Bharatanatyam and Kathak and Odissi. And, they brought in from Northeast, they brought in from Kerala. So it just got richer and better. And the key has been that it's been consistent, I think, in terms of sticking to the traditional art forms rather than, sort of diluting anywhere. It didn't get too big in sort of like, let's, brand ourselves like this. And they didn't focus on anything, bigger than what they really want to sort of spread. So that's been like, one of the things that I have noticed, that even though it's 10 years now, I still feel like, oh, this is home. It's been exactly, it could be physically a different place, but the energy, like Sejal said, you go in and it's the same thing. Sahi has not aged a single day, nor have, like you go in and she's got everything organized. She says, okay, these are the classes. This is what we're going to do. So it just feels like, even if I didn't see them for like 3 months, you go in and you just feel exactly like, oh, I belong, Janani belongs here. This is second home. So I really like the fact that Navatman has sort of stayed true to what they signed, in the beginning, what they started out for.
Yeah, and I love this idea that the arts or the organization has gotten richer while staying true to the essence of, the dance and the music. So it's kind of another way of thinking about how that evolution occurs. Any other comments with that? Yeah, Prachi, you're about to speak.
Yeah. Sorry. I think that's something Navatman has been very consistent about, is being a place to take a second and breathe. We all have 10,000 things to do in New York City. We're all running around, doing errands, going to work, picking up groceries. And we can come to Navatman and just take a second, breathe, and jump into dance, jump into music, jump into instruments, and celebrate each other being a community. And I know that Navatman has been very consistent in whether you take a break from dance and come back, or take a break from music, come back, you can pick up at any point. It's extremely seamless, to be honest. I've gone away to study abroad. I had a knee injury and I'm coming back, and everyone has welcomed me with open arms. It's a place to feel like community, and that again has not changed throughout. And what I've been here for 3-4 years, people have been here for 10 years, and that is something that Sahi, Sridhar, everyone on the staff, Samita, has really ingrained in the whole system, and I think it's magical.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. And on these notes, on this sentiment, I think we have a video that's queued up that I'd like to play. Mahi, sure, go ahead.
Might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine is here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. Yeah, like I don't care, baby, by the way.
was amazing. So definitely gives just even a small taste of that energy that you guys have been talking about, and Prachi, that magic that you were just mentioning. You can see that in the studio. This is, I believe this is a clip, if I'm not mistaken, from the studio in like 2012 or something. Maybe Sejal or Puvna and Marie, you might.
It was 2013 or 14, because Lekha and Sarah and myself were all in it. But it was, I mean, that is it right there. Just to be able to hear this music that you've heard, but coming from the roots that India has, just, that was it. You know, I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's incredible. It's hard to follow that. All I can say is that, you know, to all of you who are listening, who are tuning in, you know, you are so critical to, again, making this energy happen and bringing this to life, making this a reality for everyone, a true platform in New York, and for those that are connecting internationally. So as a reminder, you know, we are hoping to raise 30,000 for the end of this year. And again, thanks to everyone on the call today. We are currently at $18,350, which is amazing. And we only need, what is that, 11,650 more, which is just 50 donors giving $250 a piece. So we know there are many important causes out there. But if this is something that you are moved by, something that you find important, please do help sustain this energy, this magic, this organization by giving 250 or whatever you can today. So please go to navatman.org/donate to make the donation, or you can call us directly at 732-580-2093. So that's 732-580-2093. So thanks again to all of those who have donated, and all of those who have given their support on this, you know, to this amazing community. So I'm curious now if we could just spend a minute to talk about how you guys have personally changed over the past few years with your relationship, you know, given your relationship with Navatman, or even how your children have changed. You've mentioned that they've been enrolled in classes for so many years now. How have you observed their kind of evolution over this time?
I mean, I guess I could speak a little bit about that. My daughter, who is half Indian, half Dutch, Brazilian, American, I think having such close connections with Navatman to the Indian part of her identity has really helped her grow in confidence about who she is, knowing that she is really part of a diaspora that exists all over the world has really kind of given her a real sense of connection, even as those of us who are raising our children in the United States might have different experiences in that way. But she also, as a dancer, as a performer, has grown in confidence and curiosity. It's seeing her blossom through the dance has been really, really important for her growth, and it's been really satisfying as her mother. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can, just to piggyback along with that, my daughters also have their Indian heritage, but also are part Mexican, Irish, and a little bit of everything with that. This is something that has really grounded them when it comes to Bharatanatyam, Kathak, and music. They have learned to find, or they have found peers who they can relate with and expand with, and evolve with. And Navatman has instilled this real just honoring of the Indian arts and its place in society. Navatman has made these kids ambassadors to the arts, and they take that seriously. So they know that what they're learning is not something to be just tossed here and there. It is something that has been passed down to them, and hopefully they can pass on as they go along. And that's it's so awesome to see that on them.
If I can add, I think what's interesting to see in my case is we go every summer back to India. So she takes what she's learned here and she's able to walk with that with a lot more like confidence. Like, you know, she goes for a concert in India or she watches something there. She doesn't feel left out or any of that, right? Because there's Navatman's torch that she can take it with her to India. So I feel it's almost like true to what Sejal and others are saying about, you know, their children feeling, our children feeling, you know, a sense of identity and confidence with this art form and the connection to their, you know, motherland. But when I go there, I see that in full force being used. Like, you know, she understands, she feels, I can attend a concert, I can attend a program in India and or have conversations. And then you see how also she would have conversations with Sahi to say, if I go to India, do you think I can go see somebody there, for example? I think during Drive East, we met so many artists. I remember early on, Nityagram was doing, I was going to Bangalore. So we're like, oh, do we make a visit there? So I think those kind of things, we were just, of course, very fortunate to be able to go back and sort of take this. So I see that in Janani, which is our child, that sort of the richness that is being taught here is not just a classroom, just not like a learning, but that it's very much integrated into who they are as they're growing up when they go back. So she's able to have, you know, conversations with relatives, her grandparents, you know, she knows ragas or any of that. I think it's coming not from me, certainly. Everything is coming from, you know, that's a huge piece of that that's coming from Navatman. And I think these things, I don't know how it gets recorded or how one gets unless we have this conversation. I think it's very difficult even during, you know, our meetings with teachers or directors to even have these sort of layers of conversations. But I think these are so important and so valuable even for the growth of the organization to know how far the reach is. And it's not just like in that studio, in that space, or during a festival or a competition, but that it solidifies that confidence in these kids about their roots, about what they're learning, and just feeling so much more confident.
So true. So beautifully said. Thanks for sharing that. And it's really inspiring to hear that, both for, you know, other parents that have their children enrolled in classes at Navatman, and for the students themselves that are on this personal journey, this right personal evolution, which is lifelong. I want to give a moment also to our student reps, Hema, Prachi, Shruti, for your thoughts on how kind of you have personally evolved through your, you know, relationship with Navatman.
I'll go first. For me, I've always admired Sahi's planning and time management. So that I've learned from Navatman personally. And then after COVID hit, I think Navatman was the first in my community or family that adapted so quickly to the online and virtual sessions. And I must say the quality has not been compromised even a bit. So I didn't even feel that different between online and in person. Of course, I miss seeing in person, but the quality of the class, the physical strain that we go through during the class, and Sahi personally catches you and corrects you, that has never, that's never changed. So that's something that I am truly inspired by how you've been adapting to the situation. So that's something I've learned and I'm learning and I'm admiring. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been learning Indian classical dance since I was 5, and it has taught me so much about Indian culture. And growing up, being born and raised in New York, I don't think that I would have been as proud of being Indian if I wasn't ingrained in Indian classical arts. I'm so able to express being Indian so comfortably in front of anyone because of Indian classical arts. You know, it's funny because I sometimes have cousins who actually live in India saying that I am more cultured than they are because I've had this to teach me. And now being a teacher myself, it's so fulfilling to be able to give this knowledge back to the whole community and saying, you may be born and raised in New York, but here's a little bit of your Indian culture that you should be able to express and be really proud of as well. And I'm thankful for the Indian arts to give me that confidence. So it's been great in my life. Yeah.
For me personally, I feel like I've gotten a real sense of belonging, a sense of community. Since the time I've been associated with Navatman, it's really a second home away from home. And speaking specifically about the dance that I learned, I think dance is very meditative for me. So it helps greatly with my mental health. And especially since the time COVID started, it's just something that I look forward to every single week. It's something that I want to learn every week. And just, it gives me a real outlet, a real, a breather away from everything else that's going on. So it's been a grounding presence throughout.
Yeah, so well said. And it is so, inspiring. It's so good to hear it from you. You've all gone through this, and it reflects actually a lot of the conversation that we've been having, even, over the course of the evening with others representing different facets of Navatman, the sense of resiliency, of grounding, of making time and space for yourself, for your own personal growth. And I think we had mentioned earlier that one of Navatman's core missions is personal evolution through knowledge and engagement with the Indian classical arts. So we're seeing those values manifest in the experiences of all of you. So this has been such a wonderful conversation. I wish we could keep talking for hours. I would love to hear more of the stories, right, new and old, and do some more throwbacks to those old videos. I know we have a lot more to share, but given the time today, we'll have to pause here. So I would just like to say a very, very big thank you to all of you for making the time to join this conversation, for sharing these memories and sharing your personal experiences with Navatman. A special thank you to the parents for joining and for giving us a glimpse into the history of this organization, your relationship with it, and your perspective on it. So thank you very much for the time and for the support over the years. And we look forward to the relationship as it continues to grow. Thanks so much. So to all of you who have been staying with us for the past several hours, thank you so much for being with us. We hope you are loving this conversation as much as we all are at Navatman. It's incredible to hear from the many faces and voices behind the scenes of this vibrant community about how everyone has experienced the sort of joy and peace and healthy growth and challenging that Navatman provides in so many different ways. For those of you who have just joined, this is a reminder that this is Navatman's Fall 2020 fundraiser. It's a phone-a-thon. So as we're having these discussions, our volunteers are also reaching out to the many, many people that make the Navatman community what it is. We're having conversations with you via phone, text, email, to talk about your own relationship with the organization. And of course, this is the time that we are also fundraising for Navatman. As you may know, Navatman runs entirely on the generous support of our community, of our donors. So to those of you who have donated over the past few hours, days, weeks, months, and years, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It is literally what makes Navatman exist and come to be. If you are moved, inspired by what you hear today and would like to get involved, please do consider making a donation. Our goal, as a reminder, is $30,000 we're hoping to raise by the end of this year. We are currently at $18,350, so that's only $11,000 more to close the gap. If we sort of think about what that means, it looks like just under 50 donors giving us $250 a piece. That's all it will take to help us hit our goal and continue with all of the incredible work that Navatman is doing into the next year and beyond. So please do visit us at navatman.org/donate to make a donation, or you can talk to any of our volunteers that reach out to you this evening. So now we are heading into the sort of last section of our phone-a-thon, and we are now going to have a very, very special treat, because we are hearing directly from some of our current students. We're hearing from some of our most senior students that have been with us for years, that are now entering their preparation for their Arangetram and sort of thinking about, you know, how they evolve as these mature dancers and artists. We're also joined by several students that have been applying for competitions and external gigs, which has been, you know, quite an impressive dedication with everything going on this year. And some of the students represented here today are among our younger students as well. So those of you who are here for this section, I think that's Durga, Arushi, Sarah, and Shireen, if you could please turn your videos on. And if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself as well, we can get ready for this conversation. So thank you guys for being here. It's so good to see you. And I feel like I always see your faces when we're in class. So it's nice to get a chance to see everyone kind of dressed up and here for a conversation so we can talk about the things that we love about music and dance in Navatman. So thanks so much for making the time and for joining. Let's do a quick sort of round of introductions, and just so maybe we'll start with Durga and Arushi. If you could just say your name, what you do, and how long you've been engaged with Navatman. Maybe Durga and then Arushi, we can go in that order.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Durga. I'm Durga. And finally, people who will probably understand my name. I am a senior in high school now, and I'm a good friend of Anjali. Thank you so much for having us. And I have been dancing at Navatman since I was, I think, 7 years old. So I've gone through that lovely old space and a series of spaces in between. And I'm now preparing for my Arangetram, which is that recognition of those and a celebration of all of these years of hard work and the community that we've built. And I'm so excited to talk more about that tonight. Yeah, so thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Arushi, and and I've been dancing for 7 years at Navatman. I joined when I was in 5th grade. And yeah, since I joined, I've loved it here. I've learned so much, and I've made so many great friendships and bonds here. And I've learned more about dance and about my own culture and so much more that I'm so excited to tell you about.
Yeah, and we're so excited to hear it. We, as you mentioned, you both, Durga and Arushi, have been here for quite some time. This has been essentially lifelong learning for you. I think we have a couple of old photos, if I'm not mistaken, that we're going to tee up here to give a reference or a little bit of a throwback to some of the memories at Navatman. So this one, let's pause on this one. Arushi, I think that's you in the back of the classroom in the black leggings. Do you remember this moment? Do you want to?
Yeah, this was, I think, my first year of classes. I am in the back. I remember, I think, from this class being very, very excited to start learning Indian dance because I had done ballet beforehand, but I never really connected with it. I didn't love the dance. I kind of just liked dressing up, and it wasn't like something I was invested in. But then I remember coming to Navatman and feeling like such a strong connection to the dance and actually enjoying the classes so much, and the activities we did in class, the different learning approaches we would do. And I remember one thing from this class, I used to feel really uncomfortable that I was the oldest because I felt like I was very behind and everyone else had started so much at a younger age. But I think that was just all in my head because that was never a problem for anyone else. Everyone was so accepting, and I learned so much in that class, and I really loved it. And so that it ended up not being a problem at all because the love for dance and the sense of community and the acceptance just completely, tossed that aside. And I'm so happy that I stayed. And I think since that picture was taken, a lot has happened. A lot of like personal progress and like learning. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Durga, I don't know, do we have any other, I'll pause to see if there are any other video or pictures that we have. Teed up here. This is another one, which is a bit of a throwback. But Durga, when you think back on your experience, your time at Navatman, what are some of the moments that stand out? How would you kind of describe what Navatman has given you over the years?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first off, like Arushi is one of my best friends now, and I was like assisted teaching that class, and I think 12, and we laugh about it all the time, and now we're so close. And I've really seen her come out of her shell, and we've bonded through dance, and now I've seen the next generations of dancers as well through Sarah and Shireen, who you'll see shortly. And I've gone to connect with and take classes with people of like every generation, it feels, with like Prachi's mom, who may have been on before, and you, Anjali, and Sarah. I've taken classes with all these people, yet I still feel like I'm learning so much no matter how old any of the students are. And I spend back when we were in the studio, I would spend hours a week there just having fun. And over the summer, things from volunteering those weeks at Drive East, like every single moment at Navatman has been a learning opportunity for me, whether it was just learning how to connect with other people, like no matter who you are, we found ways to connect with each other through our dance, through talking about our own lives and how to empathize with each other. That has like definitely changed my life. What I want to do in life is help people, and dance and Navatman have given me that opportunity to do it through my dance and volunteer and constantly show up for others, which is something I've only gotten to learn from the adults in this community who have been there for me. So Sahyaka, who runs this, or who I'm sure you've heard for many hours today, always finds time for me. And she runs this organization with hundreds and hundreds of members, of people so invested, yet we'll put aside time for us to plan out and work on my Arngetram and give me the advice that no one else really it has the expertise for it. And she is very invested, along with Sridhar uncle. He'll get on the phone FaceTime with me late at night, or Samyukta Didi just quickly recording a quick piece of music for my Arngetram. And these are things that they've been doing since I was 9, 10, and now it's coming into fruition as I plan this huge sort of milestone in my life, something that has been passed on for generations from my grandma and her grandma before that. And dance has been a way for me to also communicate with my family, not only my Navatman family, but my family back at home in India, where I will send them my videos and they'll get back to me with their suggestions and tips. And then I'll record it for the competitions that Sahyaka and Aparna Didi will send me. And then for my cousins, my little cousin who's now 8 years old, she's starting sending me videos, and I get to help her through dance. And this is something like as an American high schooler, things are so different from things that most people experience. And through like personal struggles, whatever goes on in my life and in the lives of all of my classmates, the 10 adult amazing women that I've taken classes with in last year, throughout the year, they would always show up and be there no matter how much like work was on their plate. Everyone is sympathetic, and we all take this time out of our schedules to invest in this one common thing that really nothing else has been there in my life like that. And I really love it's really the people. It's really the people, because without that community, I wouldn't have gotten to know and love all of these different amazing women and men in my life. And I'm just so grateful for everything that Navatman has given me.
That's so awesome. So well said. And your, the evident passion and everything that you've learned is reflected in how you carry yourself today, how you speak about Navatman. So it's so gratifying, so inspiring to hear you talk about this. I think we have a video that's also queued up. So on this note about the passion, dedication, this energy, let's play that video, which is also I believe, a little bit of a throwback.
Gari gari sada pari. I think about her and she knows it. I wanna let her take control. Gari gari sada pari sa pasani sari. Been in love to keep guessing, and maybe I should start confessing. Shaking, I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibition, baby. There's nothing holding me back. You take me places to tear up my reputation, and if you like my decisions, baby, there's nothing holding me back. Holding me back. There's nothing holding me back. Confessing, yeah. Oh, I've been shaking. I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions, baby. There's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation, manipulate my decisions. We study our magazines by my side. It's studying nobody. Alright. We study our magazines and lost our minds in between. Study nobody. Alright. We study our magazines by my side. It's studying nobody. Be alright. We study our magazines.
I love that video. It's like literally singing in the rain, right? Singing and dancing in the rain. And I saw some familiar faces in that video, many of whom are on the call here on Zoom today. And you guys probably recognize yourselves and many, many, many friends and classmates and teachers that you've been with for the years. So that just really kind of captures so much of the experience that you guys have been talking about. Durga, Arushi, I have one more question for you. I'm curious about the performances that stand out in your mind over the course of your time with Navatman, right? And it's interesting to think about how you're performing in New York City, right? You guys especially live in the heart of this urban center. And for people that are taking dance classes in the suburbs, there's more opportunity for people to get involved with like performance spaces in the local temples or, performing halls and those venues where there's a lot of space. In Manhattan, in New York City, it's much harder to find spaces to perform. And yet performances are so critical to the students' growth process and evolution. So how were the performance experiences for you? How did they help you, in your journey as a student? And what are some of the spaces in which you did perform that stand out in your memory?
One performance jumps out to me. There was I think it was a holy festival in New Jersey, and Durga and I were going together, and we went with my dad, and it was pretty far, and so we were having a lot of trouble getting there, like taking trains and then cab, and then we kind of got lost a few times, and it was a lot to get there, but I think once we did, it was so fun to just. We were right near the water, so it was so fun to like get ready, and we were doing each other's makeup, trying to get our hair together. None of our moms were there, and so we felt a little bit more independent, and we had to dress ourselves. And I remember, even though like it felt very stressful going there just because we were having such trouble. I remember like when the performance was over, it was so like gratifying to like take off my makeup, undress, like get ready. And I think that was like, aside from just being a wonderful dancing experience, because I remember the stage was like very, very hot. We were like right in the sun. But I mean, I think one that just like made the performance even more memorable. And I think by the end, I remember thinking to myself like, wow, like this was actually very, very exciting and very fun. And I know that like, that was probably like a really big milestone in my friendship with Durga. And I'm like so happy that we like went through that together, as we did with so many other performances and so many like unique experiences that I just completely would not have had without Navatman. And I probably wouldn't have even known that this holy festival existed in such a like a nice area with all these food vendors and all these celebrations. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't like had this connection. So yeah, Durga.
Yeah, for sure. That performance, yeah, that was that was definitely an experience. I feel like so many of them are things like Arushi said that I never would have imagined happening in any other way. And like at some of them like ended up being like we're the only like brown people at an event, and we're like we're definitely the ones like who are standing out. And but that definitely like gave me the confidence to be unique and like to portray my dance even when no one really no one really understands it. Like we once went to Long Island, and it was like a little bookstore, and no one knew what they were getting into, and then we just got up there and did Indian classical dance, and people were blown away, and we got so many compliments, and it kind of just reinforces the importance of sharing our dance. And I think another big part of it is the community of like rehearsing and getting ready and all the support that goes into each of these performances. There will be adults there for you, supporting you no matter what. And the fact that we had student showcases, I think every single year that I've been here, if not like for the majority of them, that's been a huge opportunity for me to prepare for these dances and put in those extra hours needed to really polish pieces. And performing is definitely so important. And Navatman is, again, that one place that was out going and finding opportunities. I remember dancing at the Met. Like I was like 14, getting to dance at the Met. That's an amazing experience. That's going to be with me forever. And this community is the one place that got that for us, for us as kids to really go out in the world and showcase who we are and be recognized for it as well. So, yeah.
That is very cool. It sounds like you guys have had a lot of adventures, quite, some experiences together in New York City and around. So that is awesome. I said that was my last question, but I actually have one more question. So this is really my last question for you, which is, what do you hope for Navatman in the future? What do you hope that this organization becomes in the next, say, couple of months, years down the road?
Okay, I'll go. I think there's so many hopes that you can think of. And I think, well, one thing I'll say before is that I'm always surprised every year when someone will just be in class and be like, oh, did you hear about this new performance or class that we're gonna have, or like nuance class, or even the Mahabharata. Like every year there's like new additions added to the community, different performance opportunities, different dancing groups, maybe like subgroups. We have I didn't even know about all these things that they existed at Navatman, so I'm always so surprised. And so I honestly, I think my hope would be, I feel very comfortable knowing that oh, I'm so sorry, my buzzer's going off. Here, Durga, can you take it really quickly?
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to personally see the growth and potential Iron Gate thrums of so many of these students, people who you probably heard today, and see their growth. I think that's a huge part of Navatman. It's not just all of, because I know we're gonna, with the amount of ambition that every single leader has in this organization to go and branch out and do amazing things, whether it's like releasing CDs with NMC or creating these cute videos. Like I was in that last one, it was so fun to make, whether it's the small things or things like Dry Beast, growing that and continuing that work. I don't even know how much more can be getting done right now, but then also seeing the personal growth of so many of the young boys and girls who have been a part of my life. And I hope just to see them really blossom and see their growth in dance and how much they improve. And just, even if it doesn't feel like you're improving, I just want to tell them this, you are, and the amount of dedication and work that you put in, it ends up paying off, and just the amount of love that you end up having for the community and for the people around you. So I just can't wait to see it. Even if it's just continuing this amazing work, I hope we can all again put in this time and money. I know this is a fundraiser, and putting this in so other young girls like me can do that and fulfill things that their great grandmas did as well. And I would not be the same without Navatman. I just wouldn't. And I hope it continues to change lives in the same way.
That is so beautifully said. Thank you guys both for sharing that, your experience over the years and your hopes and dreams for what Navatman becomes. I think we all are on the same page with you, is hoping, and kind of dreaming about so much more potential, so many more things that Navatman can do to continue this important work. And, the many projects that will continue to go on, Arushi, like you're saying, so we'll continue to have surprising new ventures coming from the passionate and dedicated team at Navatman. For all of you who are tuning in today, who are listening to the conversation, who are watching the sort of fruits of the investment, right here with our students that are talking to you. If you do feel so moved to provide support for Navatman into next year, we would be greatly appreciative. As a reminder, our goal is to raise $30,000 for the end of this year into next year. We're currently at $18,350, which means that we just need about $11,650 more. which just means 50 donors giving about $250 a piece. That's all it would take to help us close this gap, hit our goals, and continue all of this amazing work and support that the Navatman team gives to students like Durga and Arushi. So we know, again, there are many important causes out there, but if this is something that you find important, please help to sustain our organization by giving the $250 or whatever you can today. Again, you can go to navatman.org to make the donation. So Durga, Arushi, thank you again so much for sharing this. This is super, super inspiring to me, an older student, and to all of those who are listening, and I'm sure as well to our younger students, Shireen and Sarah, and everyone else that has recently joined Navatman. I want to now take a few moments, and Shireen and Sarah will transition over to you to hear a few words from you guys. So if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and first saying your name and how old you are, then we can talk. So maybe Shireen, we can start with you. Just can you introduce yourself with your name and your age?
My name is Shireen Seekant and I'm 10 years old.
Thank you. And Sarah, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sarah Wood and I'm 9 years old.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being here. So I have two questions for you. My first question is, what do you like most about the Indian classical arts and the dance that you guys do? What do you guys love about the dance at Navatman? Maybe Shireen, we can start with you.
I like it a lot because it was just like really fun to express yourself through dance, and like everyone's really nice at Navatman. And yeah, I just like the way like this style, and it was like, yeah, that's really all.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thanks for sharing. And Sarah, what is your most favorite thing about dancing?
What I like most about dance is learning different pieces and items and performing them.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys, for sharing. Now, you are representing some of our students on this call today because I believe you have participated in a competition recently. So my second question for you is, can you tell us a little bit about the competition and what was exciting to you about the competition? And maybe Shireen, we can start with you again.
It was like a new experience for me because I never really had competed too much before. And like just to be able to like really express that and share that was pretty like fun. And also I didn't really like, I mean, it did matter, but like it was just like getting to try that really was like what I really liked about doing it.
Nice, thank you. And Sarah, what about you? What can you tell us a little bit about the competition and what you liked about it? What was most exciting?
Well, my sister did a competition before, and I want to try it out myself too. And my mom happened to be in Michigan, and at the time when the results came out, and she called me and told me I placed first in my category, and that was just really exciting for me.
That is so exciting, and congrats to both of you. That is such a great accomplishment, and I know there will be so many more moments of challenge and dedication and passion and success for you in the future. So thank you guys so much for joining us today and for sharing your experiences. Is there anything else that you want to say about Navatman or about the classes that you guys take before we close today's conversation? Anything else on your mind that you want to say? Okay, I think it looks like we've covered it. So thank you again so much to Sarah and Shireen. Big thank you to Durga and to Arushi. This has been such a special conversation, and I know I'll see you guys soon in classes on Zoom. So again, thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon. To all of you who have been listening to this conversation, you've just heard from our students at Navatman, from some of our senior students and from some of our younger students that are competition winners. If you've been with us for any of the time this evening, you have heard from the many faces, voices, people, souls that make up the Navatman community. We've been here for about 4 hours talking about all of the different facets of Navatman, hearing from all these different individuals. And to be completely honest with you, I think we could easily go on for another 4 hours because there's so much more to talk about when we think back to the highlights of this year, but also consider all of the things that Navatman is planning for the upcoming year. Again, none of this is possible. None of this has been possible without your direct support and your donations. And that is exactly what will carry Navatman into the next year. So in the final minutes of our time together, Sahi, I'd like to invite you back on to the call to share your thoughts, kind of, sort of take it home.
Anjali, you have just talked now straight for 4 hours, so I will relieve you. But no, it's such a pleasure. I think this is one of the first years where I have not been kind of a leading voice in the actual fundraising event. I think I said something similar like to this last year, and each year I kind of get to see Navatman take a larger role in the people who are a part of the organization. And so I got to be behind the scenes, and you didn't see me, but I've been on my phone kind of working the phone-a-thon section of things the whole time. But hearing the stories was such an inspirational pleasure. Like, even if we got no funding today, which please donate, I hope you donate. Funding is a real thing, and it is a big difference for organizations like ours at a time like this. But even if we didn't, the conversations like we had today are so important because the whole staff, teacher, volunteers, everybody who's part of this community just gets re-inspired. And many of you have been getting text messages from us or emails from us, and our roster is so big. We have almost 1,000 names of just we're trying to get through at least 250 to 300 of them. But so much of the goal today is not just for you to give back to the community that you took classes from, but rather also, if it's been a while since you've been here, come back. We want you to get excited to rejoin again. I know life gets in the way all the time. Some students move, some students have children, some students have PhDs, and their thesis advisors are like, nope, you got nothing but this right now. And I know because I have constant conversations with our students, and it's almost always one of these 3 roundabout reasons. But even so, with us online now, I hope you guys come back in some way, shape, or form, whether that's joining our Facebook group, which we have a Facebook group specifically kind of designed and built to dig into stuff that you probably don't hear about the Indian classical arts so easily, maybe because we're tuned in as teachers, but maybe you as patrons get the other news that the mainstream media outlets are sharing. Or whether it's to, just chat with us, come back for a consultation with me and Samyukta and just let us know, Sahi, we want to come back for something, but we don't know what, and how can I? And we're more than happy to help you out. Or whether it's to dig deeper and go, well, I've been here for classes for a little bit, and now I really want to take this more seriously. Or whether it's to pull a Mutali and Udita and be like, I'm auditioning for Mahabharata, and now you must keep me at Navatman as staff members for the next few years. All of those things are exciting, and I love being able to guide, which I think many of us at Navatman love being able to do, guide options and how you can come back, because as you've seen,
everybody's so happy. It just reaffirms what we do. We don't do what we do necessarily because it brings me great joy to stand in front of a computer screen and teach. We do what it does. We do what we do, but that effect of seeing everybody who's there with us, that effect of seeing an audience member leave Drive East happy is why we put in the mechanics of the effort beforehand, which today was certainly a reminder of. Anjali, have I given your voice enough of a rest now?
No, I mean, yeah, that was great. And I mean, there's so much more, honestly, that we can talk about. I'm not exhausted by any of this, honestly. And I think, no one would be, because as one of the underlying themes from this whole thing has been that Navatman is what gives energy. And it's just that, it's this kind of, I don't know, like eternal sort of passionate drive that people have, that they sense, that they feel when they're part of the Navatman community. We've been talking about it for 4 hours, and hopefully the combination of talking and showing the videos and the music and the clips helps to kind of conjure that feeling. But truly nothing can really get at what it feels like to have this inspiration and dedication and reverence and commitment to the art as being a part of the Navatman community. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of fueling, everlasting energy, which is why I think, I mean, that's why Navatman has grown in so many ways in the face of immense hardships this year. So I think it would be nice maybe if, now that we're kind of reaching the end of our phonathon, if everyone can turn on their videos. We have so many volunteers here behind the scenes who have been calling, who have been talking to people, reaching out to the Navatman community. So all of you guys who are here, who are still working, please do turn your video on so we can see the many faces behind this effort.
I just saw Udi. It's like a waterfall. Udi, Mahi, and Mithali. I'm not sure if Keisha is gonna turn it on today. She was letting us know that she wasn't going to, and I don't think you can see her screen because it doesn't show up on the graphics. But Keisha is there, Ruchi is there, and Sierra is there, and you saw like a whole gamut of people so far. But what I'd like to do now, usually I am the ending voice of most of our fundraising events. Today I'm gonna let all of you guys do your one last pitch request. So nobody's prepared this, so it might be a little bit stumbly, because I just decided it on the spot, as I do many things in life. But go ahead, Udi. If you had one last thing to say to get people to give tonight, what would you tell them?
I think at this point, I would just say that there is a reason why you initially came to the Indian classical arts. You gave to the Indian classical arts, and you wanted to be a part of this community and wanted to see, watch, and learn more about the Indian classical arts and grow as a community. So if there's anything that we'd ask you today, is just to help us sustain as an organization and help us move this art form, take it to the next generation and further. So please donate if you can at this point, and we'd be very, very grateful, and we really appreciate your support over the years. Thank you.
And just in case you're trying to donate but don't know how to, you can donate at navatman.org/donate. You can also call 732-580-2093, which is our phone number, which Udita has on her. And we will post it in the links once we are done here, if we haven't already, or just bombard you with the donate link as we move forward. Mithali?
Yeah, all I want to say is I left my corporate job to go ahead, pursue my master's in performing arts administration, and then further a career in nonprofit in the arts world. I know there is a lot of scope, a lot of hope over here, and the other thing that I know from all my textbooks is that this community can only grow through the help of sponsors and donors like all of you. And that's how Navatman has been doing good work in the community for the past 10 years. And if you want to go ahead become a bigger group, become a larger team, and have more products offered by Navatman, we need your help and your support. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 250. It can be $25. It can be $2 a month. It can be any small amount. It can be as small as tagging us on social media, commenting on our Facebook and Instagram posts. So yes, please do support us in any way. As Sahi said, the link is, you can go to our website to donate. It's www.navatman.org/donate. Or you can just type in Navatman on any of our social media and reach out to us. And we are usually pretty active on that. So thank you for attending tonight, for all those who did.
I think just a few words. Sahi does kind of put people on the spot and thinks about things last minute, but I think that's the best part about it. It's a journey, and we're very thankful that you guys have been with us for so many years, and you could join us tonight in this journey. And we hope to see you in the future as well, continuing to see you guys at our events, at our showcases, through our Zoom classes, and just, any donations, big or small, definitely help. And we're looking forward to having you guys here. As Sahi said, you could always donate at navatman.org/donate. I think there's one little video that I wanted to show before I kind of get off tech tonight. Let me just, and hoping this will convince you guys if it hasn't already.
You know, someone said it, Navatman, no one can stop us. No one's stopping us now either.
So thank you guys again for everything. All the volunteers, everybody who's been watching, round of applause to you guys. Thank you.
Anjali, did you want to say something, or are you talked out? You don't have to. I just wasn't sure.
I mean, well, I can just I'll just end on this one very, very short thing, which is that a few months ago, Sahi had made this invitation for personal consultations for our students. So I'm studying Bharatanatyam with Navatman, and you were asking me about goals and things like that. And I was just like, in an ideal world, I wish I could do this and have this and do it this way. And then your response was, okay, well, you can do this. We can make it work this way. And then you enroll this, and you kind of set it all up in such a organized, seamless way. And I was so shocked that the solution was so quick. And here I am thinking that I'm dreaming big, and you're like, yeah, well, A, B, C, D, this is how you get to it. And I was so surprised. And your response to my surprise was, anything is possible at Navatman, is what you said. And I was like, I didn't even know that could happen. You're like, why would you even doubt anything is possible at Navatman? And it was such a poignant moment for me, because I was like, yeah, that is so true. And these sort of short-term goals, limitations are just a function of our own assumptions and expectations and thinking. But truly, Navatman is the, proof, the living proof that anything is possible. So it's only possible because of the strong donations and supporters and patrons. So yes, finally, we'll end with this, again, appeal to please donate in any way. Any small amount goes so far for the entire community, the global community of Navatman. So please do pledge and come and engage with us and support us in any way that you can, because as you can see, Navatman's community is growing and will continue to grow because of listeners and people like you.
I will last little bit just thank everybody one last time. We just got another pledge for 250. I presume a lot of people are starting to roll off their social media and have dinner, so I think we'll see a couple more of these pledges as we come into the next week. But we thank you guys so much again. We have some 5 unknown pledges with unknown amounts coming in, and we're more than halfway to our goal, which is fantastic. So just 11,000 left to go, or 11,500 left to go. And we will see you in 2021. I know we haven't talked much about directly the rebirth of Navatman in this very trialed period of time. And I think for part of that reason is because for us, there's always challenges. As a nonprofit arts organization, there will always be challenges, and you kind of saw the challenges we faced this year, but in other times maybe they're a little bit more behind the scenes. So with that in mind, every challenge Navatman faces, it's not something we view of as a thing that will stop us, or a thing that is, it's sort of like the mountain and we're going to go around it, we'll dig under it, we'll climb over it, and if we have to backpack train for a year to climb over it, we'll do that too as well. So join us over this next year as we backpack train to get through the rest of 2021, which appears to be part of this 2020 year as well, with hope around the corner. And we hope you'll join us in some way, shape, or form as part of the vision of arts being a part of your heart, your soul, your life moving forward. Thank you so much. We will see you on the flip side of 2020, hopefully, and have a wonderful evening, morning if you're viewing the recording, afternoon, Thanksgiving, not really sure when some of you will see it. And if you made it this far, we love you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Good night, guys.